Welcome into another Tuesday night evening blend. I'm showing stuff off because Matthew is showing stuff off, but what Matthew is showing off is far more important than what I'm showing off. These guys came in the mail. Actually, they came today.
Nice.
Separately.
Of course.
Separately. This guy was on my doorstep when I went to work this morning, and I had to run up and grab him off the porch. This guy was in a wet-soaked, water-laden box this afternoon by the United States Postal Service here in Tennessee. And thank God the box did not get ruined, because I would have been really, really upset. But it was post-rain. Nonetheless, two separate deliveries going to the same address on the same day.
Yep.
So let's put those guys back, because boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh, on Sunday, I can't wait to show you my Rattler box, because it's going to be here in 2 days.
Nice.
My Rattler is showing up in 2 days, and I am stoked. But Matthew, let's put you on full screen. Let's show the first figure as we welcome everybody in and we get into it. We talk about some stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Tuco Viper, if I am not mistaken.
That is correct. He came in yesterday. I had a little fun with him today.
And you are going to have the best pictures of everyone. And I know this because, folks, I've had a little sneak peek of what y'all been doing with that Tuco Viper. And I got to tell you, Matthew is going to destroy.
It's not about that. It's about the journey. It's about Tuco's journey.
I agree with you. But my point being is that, I can't wait to see your pictures. And so, and you're right. It's not about that. It is about the journey. And I think it's going to be one great video that 3-Star Draw puts together at the end of it all. This is his project. This is something he's wanted to do. So sending this guy all over the country, all over the world, really.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's finally landed on your doorstep. I can't wait to see what you do with him. I have seen some previews, and there's some great photos. There really are. There's some great photos. And then there's also, sometimes life gets in the way and you got stuff going on, and it's like, okay, let me try to do this and that and whatever. So, but ultimately at the end of it, it's going to be a good time. So, but I'm glad he's there with you. I know he's in good hands.
I wish he was here last weekend, because I would have taken him around the show with me.
Oh, man. He did make an appearance at Joe Fest. I will say that. He did make an appearance at Joe Fest. And so that was kind of fun. But nonetheless, here we are. Tuesday night, evening blend, number 57. 57, right? Like, man, oh man. All right. So we got some ground to cover. We have a couple trailers to watch. We have a little bit of news. We have some sad news of a passing that a lot of you will definitely recognize. And then, got a little bit of a review later. But without further ado, I would be remiss if I didn't say hello to the chat. So that's what we're going to do now. And Stanley Eberhard here, 5:45 p.m. with the screen set, ready to go. I'm going to say, it says intergauging. I'm going to say integrating Running Man. If I'm reading that right, correct me if I'm wrong. Truer to the novel. Now, I've never read the novel, Matthew. Have you read the novel?
Long time ago.
Okay, so I'm not as familiar. I know Glenn Powell has become a really hot name in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's great. I really think the comedy he did with Sydney Sweeney was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Kind of goofy, but he's become a hot name. And you know what? I'd like to put my chips down on Glenn Powell, at least as a movie star. Maybe in the making, even though he's probably less than 10 years younger than I am. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of weird. But yeah, like Glenn Powell. But Stanley's here. for sure. Obviously, Shane, same time toys is here. Replay squad. I got a thing that I did not plan out. Hey, that happens
That
all the
happens,
time.
yeah.
It does, and it is what it is, baby. But the replay squad is in full effect.
I was giving him a little hell because I saw him over chatting in a different stream an hour, 45 minutes ago.
Okay. No, I mean, dude, look, Shane is great, and
no,
I
know.
Pleasure
Awesome.
meeting him. Yeah, I got a pleasure meeting him. A week and a half ago, whatever. And
we hung out last weekend.
Yeah, you're right, because he made it to DFW also, which really, to be honest with you, is something that after the fact. Look, folks, when we do streams and we bring people on, we think about, hey, what are we going to plan? What are we going to do? It's like you think about after the fact. I could have brought somebody else on, right? And the stream that I did the other night could have brought Shane in if he had the opportunity just to talk about those differences, those experiences, because I'm interested in that. I'm curious about those things, and I like to hear different people's experiences with different cons, right? Somebody that goes to SDCC, which one day I would love to go to. I know
you wanted to go before 2007,
and I've heard it's been completely once Iron Man came out and Marvel kind of came in and took over.
It was before that. It was
really
it was Twilight.
Oh, you know what? You've mentioned that before.
Yeah,
Twilight. We all love. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I did see those movies at the theater.
Yeah.
I also was dating someone at the time. So maybe that had something to do with it. 3-star draw is here. Green leader standing by. Nolan, I saw Nolan
What's up?
The at this point now,
Circle of Jerks.
Circle of Jerks.
Yeah,
because you and I have made so much fun of it, just out of fun, not being serious. We have made so much fun of it over the last several weeks or a couple months that now I'm like, oh, I'm blanking on the name. But yeah, Nolan, what's up, man? Good to see you always. Turk Murphy's Toy Solutions, definitely. Menjoza also watching Circle of Jerks. G.I. Jetman, what's going on, brother? Can't wait to give you my ideas about Ironheart and see whether or not you agree with them or not. You may not. We'll see. We'll find out. Let's see. I think that's kind of where we're at. Got a couple lurkers here and there. I appreciate that.
Always got them.
Anybody and everybody, if you are watching the stream and hanging out, hit the like button. It always helps. Although coming from someone who just really enjoys hanging out and talking to you guys and not really growing my channel, it's I know Matthew, I would dare say at this point after 57 streams, you'd probably like to be talking to about 175 people. Am I right about that?
Hey, I'm good talking with everybody, anybody, whatever.
And that's the answer I was hoping for, because ultimately at the end of the day, man, I appreciate anybody that shows up to hang out and really listen to us kind of go over this stuff, man. And
and you know what?
I mean, whatever.
I think we've missed 1 or 2 weeks since we started. And honestly, it was just, maybe it was Christmas or whatever,
No, it was Christmas.
Yeah. But I mean, we've hit most everything. And consistency is king. And if you go on at the same time, but if you just drop a live stream whenever you want, then you just screw up your algorithm. It messes everything up. And, just because you are frustrated because everybody's talking about something you want to talk about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the consistency part and really truly, if you talk to people who do this, it does take time to grow.
Yeah.
Let's not kid ourselves, making regular video content. But also there are channels that have done very well doing live streams and consistently. And it is a grind. And there are weeks where sometimes you're like, man, there's not a lot of news. Right? There's not a lot to talk about. We may have to talk about Superman 3-4 weeks in a row. However, there's always little nuggets in there, and I've found a few little nuggets, and some of them are from the Snyderverse. From the Snyderverse fans that I want to
Yeah.
bring up with you when we
Nice.
get to it.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think you're gonna
Yeah, yeah.
enjoy that. Viper Scout, what's going on, man? Always good to see. Always good. Pleasure to see Viper Scout in here. All right, so here's the deal. Um, we always start out with the numbers, so let's check out the numbers. Got it pulled up here. So
Man,
let's,
I really want to see F1. Everybody's been talking about that one.
dude. You know what? I do too. And the way my work schedule falls, it's like a 2 week cycle.
Yeah.
So the weekends after I have my son, it's a very weird, like work 2 days, off a day, work a day, off a day. And then
Yeah.
after that, I do 6 in a row until
Hmm.
I'm off for 3 days in a row with my son. And then I recycle that schedule, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Because of that, sometimes when things come out and I really want to see them, if I'm in the middle of that 6 days in a row, it's kind of hard to go to the movies or whatever. And so, yes, I'm with you. I want to see that show. Um, I think it looks fantastic. Uh, let's see. Let's get the current box office. Let's just go ahead and hit it up. What do you think number one is?
I
Just
I
just a
would
guess.
I would say it's F1, but I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers.
You know what it is. F1 came out uh, domestically, and the only thing about the numbers is that it shows the domestic charts right off the bat. Domestically, 57 million, one weekend in release.
Yeah.
That's solid for a movie that honestly, to me, has not seen a lot of promotion on television.
It hasn't well, there's not a lot.
Not really. I
Yeah.
haven't seen a ton of promotion for it.
Yeah, you're right.
It obviously has a legacy actor involved.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I have not seen a huge media blitz for
Nope.
this film.
Nope.
Uh, How to Train Your Dragon, hanging tough at number two.
Good
However, it
movie.
is
A lot of people like that one, so that's that one's good.
3 weekends in release, and it's dropped 246 theaters after 3 weeks. It's a little curious to me. Um, I mean, if you look down some of these movies have been out for like 4 weekends, 5 weekends, 6 weekends, and they start dropping off theaters.
Yeah.
That's a pretty large, theater drop off.
Yeah.
I guess, but 200 million. I mean, if we take a look at it really quickly, um, and you look at worldwide, it's just under 500 million. I mean, the budget, I
Yeah.
guess, for this film, I'm kind of curious about, but under 500 million. How much did it take to really make this
Yeah,
film?
I was thinking that it's probably pretty close to making a profit. I don't think it's quite there yet, but
Yeah, just kind of scrolling around here, looking around, trying to find like, budget information. The
yeah.
numbers gives you a lot of stuff, but it's not easily found. You have to kind
Yeah.
of dig for it on here, but it's probably the most accurate as far as trying to find out, true information about films. After that, Elio, which is a
Oh
huge
man.
disappointment.
The more I learn about that movie, the more I'm like, there's no way I'm ever gonna watch this one. Like,
I
no.
mean, and realistically, 41 million after 2 weekends of release, that's only going to get, less and less and less. And that has to be a loss, right? That has to be
Yeah.
a loss for how much it costs to make an animated film. From what I understand, too, Elio actually was remade like twice.
Yep.
It
Yeah.
was made, was not acceptable.
Nope.
They
The
remade it again.
Yeah. Yep. And what the statements basically were from Disney is This is too gay.
That's from Disney.
That was from
That
Disney.
that was from
Dis
the screenings and
yeah,
the those inner like screenings where you have executives and you have people that give you notes and they tell you this and that whatever, and
yeah,
that was some of the discussion,
yeah,
and so they had to rework it.
yeah, and that's super surprising. So, it's a meandering mess of a story because they probably had to redo it from what it was originally supposed to be, um, and the executives didn't like it, so they made them redo it again. There's just a lot of problems with the movie, and I'm glad you learned about the rule of thirds because I was going to have to go off on the
Yeah.
rule of thirds last time
So
because I'm like, what the hell is this?
you know what? Maybe and I'll say this every now and then. Hey, maybe we should do a stream where we talk about that. That really is, folks. I don't know if you really know this, and if you're not a photographer, if you're not a videographer, if you're not somebody who does you know camera work, like the rule of thirds. Just to give you an idea, and I'm going to bring it up. I'll bring it up right now. Um, it's interesting because when you watch movies, when you watch shows, there is a way these things are filmed. They're filmed for a
Well,
reason. They are shown to you for a reason. They're photographed for
yeah.
a reason,
Well,
right?
that's why there's a cinematographer, right? That's their entire
Yes,
job.
someone who knows
Yeah.
these rules of cinematography. The
Yeah.
rule of thirds is a compositional guideline in visual arts, particularly photography and film, that
Yeah.
suggests an image should be divided into 9 equal parts by 2 equally spaced horizontal and 2 equally spaced vertical lines. When you see examples of it, then you get it. And when you don't see it in the movies and
Yeah.
animation or whatever that you watch, you'll recognize it. You'll
So
see it.
it's something that your brain picks up subconsciously. This is why
Yes.
the rule of thirds
Yes.
exists. It's because it is a subconscious understanding of motion, of drama, of suspense. There are ways to use the rule of thirds to generate those emotions in people with just an image. And to completely negate that and put everything in center frame with nothing around it, there's no emotion, there's no energy, there's no connection to it. And when you film an entire movie focused on the very thing in the center the whole time, it's in the center the whole time, and nothing is happening around it, there's not going to be an emotional connection to that. So you're not engaging in storytelling at that point. You're showing off images that you think are impressive, and it may or may not be, but it doesn't tell a story.
So it's so funny, Matthew, because at Joe Fest a week and a half ago, I was taking pictures and you got the viewfinder and you're like, oh, that's a good looking picture, right? And then
Right.
you blow it up and you look at it and you're like, God, that looks awful. Or man, that angle is weird. It doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
So even as someone who has like looked at and tried to watch film or study scenes and understand this, it's something that most people, it's just going to go right here over the head, and that's okay, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is
Right.
okay. That is normal. However, people that study this, people that make film, they understand the concept and they know how to utilize it properly so that your brain, like you said, subconsciously
Yeah.
recognizes this. And the best films utilize these techniques.
Right.
They know what the eyeball looks at, they know what it's drawn to. So it's interesting to me. And Elio, not to go down a complete crazy tangent, but that is true. Alan Ing from Film Threat used several examples on a stream to
Yeah.
display the complete misuse and or non-use of the rule of thirds. And so maybe one night we'll bring that up and talk about it. But it definitely in animation lately, it seems to be a trend. It
Well,
seems
it
to be
and
a trend that is not working out for a lot of these films, that they're not utilizing the rule of thirds.
well, it goes back to the fact that they aren't hiring talented or competent people. They're hiring people.
Correct.
I don't know, based on hey, I saw this person, they want to do it and they're really cheap or whatever. I don't know. But they're hiring people that have no idea what they're doing, that
Right.
have never studied this stuff or never don't understand it, or were taught by people who don't understand it, because sometimes it's not being taught anymore. Hey, do whatever you want. It's guerrilla filmmaking. And that just
Sure.
leads to a lot of garbage. And then sometimes somebody will stumble across something. It's like you're learning it all over again, and it's 1850 and you're trying to take a picture again and learn how to do it. All right, we have all these years of experience. Well, let's take advantage of it. Let's use it. Let's talk about the three light system. Let's talk about the rule of thirds. Let's talk about how you do these things. And I couldn't put my finger on it initially,
Okay.
but I will break it down to a lack of understanding of the rule of thirds and lighting is why Daredevil doesn't look as good as it used to, because those people don't know how to do that anymore. Not to mention the story stuff that was going on with it. But I noticed that there was a couple scenes. I'm like, I was talking with you and War Chest about it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what the hell's going on here? I mean, this scene has no visual continuity. It has no emotion. It has no energy. It's just there, and it's poorly shot. And I'm like,
That was the first. That was the first episode. We
yeah,
watched the first episode together
yeah,
before you and I went live. We had War Chest on, and he loves Daredevil, and I was like, hey, let's bring him in. You know more about the comics than I do, and more about the character. I watched the Netflix show, loved it. So it's like, hey, let's get together, let's watch it before we stream.
yeah,
And it was like night and day. Like you
yeah.
could see the differences in the composition of those shots from previous to what they did. And I could understand why the actors had such a big problem, not only with the
Yeah.
story and the characters, but they probably went back and watched dailies.
If
They
they
probably
yeah,
went
if they're
back
watching any
and they were like,
dailies,
"Oh God, this is
yeah, well,
awful."
and maybe they know and maybe they don't know why, but their brain is telling them there's something incongruent about
Yeah,
this. Hey, Turk Murph, what's up? I
yeah.
gotta agree with you, man. It has a lot of meanings. Three has so many meanings. It's there's a lot of depth to it if you're into that kind of stuff. But
That's true. I guess just ultimately in the rule of thirds, I guess, and just to bring that up, and again, we went on a really long tangent about it when Elio,
yeah,
but I think part of the reason why it's not resonating with audiences is because of that, because of the lack of the imagination and also the utilization of some of those classic things,
yeah.
scenes, and whatever
Well,
that
it's
people
classic
understand and
storytelling,
recognize. Right.
right? If you're not following the tropes of one of the seven archetypal story types, then it's probably not going to connect with a large audience.
Right.
And if you take modern storytelling, there's only three story types, and they're all terrible, and nobody wants
Well,
to pay
I
attention to them.
I guess my thing is, Matthew, is like it seems like lately Disney is hung up on these children's stories that deal with like separation anxiety and like severe depression and like, in children. Like it's I mean, seriously, even the ones that have been successful,
Yeah.
to me, it's like
Oh
they've been
yeah.
hyper focused on not a hero's journey or whatever. And I get it. Look, some people are like, hey, tell a story that's real world problems. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, fine. But when it comes to children, telling
Well,
those stories is fine, but it seems like they've been hyper focused on those kind of stories, like these
yeah.
disorders, so to speak. So
Well,
disorders that have been diagnosed in the last 10 to 15 years.
right. It's worse than that, because you're personifying adult emotions on a child, and then that goes down a whole nother rabbit hole that we don't need to go down. But there's a lot of sociological problems with the way they're telling stories with children these days.
Yeah,
What's
I
up,
just
Pug?
I was gonna say, I want to say hey to War Chest. Obviously, says hey, I'm here. Went to see F1. Love
Yeah,
to hear your opinion.
awesome. I
I
can't
think
wait.
I
I want to
think
see it.
I would absolutely love to. And then trying to scroll down real quick. Punk with Toys on Circle of Jerks, man. That was a good stream. Actually, Punk, you guys had some really funny shit. I ain't gonna lie. It was some
Yeah,
funny stuff. I cracked up a lot. And that's become a very fun stream. It's
yeah,
become, it's very off the cuff. There's some great memes and stuff incorporated, and you guys are doing a great job with that. And I love to see it because I love to see everybody succeed. I love that.
It is so unprofessional. It's awesome.
That's
like,
kind of
well, and we can tell.
Love it.
And honestly, we can tell that you've been upping your game a little bit, but at the same time, you're trying to hold on to that this is a shit show thing, and it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. No, like G.I. Jet, man, I get it. We might maybe do that another day. That this stream on Tuesday nights is kind of just a me and Matthew kind of thing. We get in, we get out. It's not much of a guest stream. I appreciate the offer, 100%. And maybe we can make that happen coming up on a Sunday night on Unfiltered or something like that, and try to debate that and talk about it. I will give my thoughts later, and you may or may not disagree with some of them, and that's okay. But I also want to say hi to
Woody,
the lovely, talented Triple D's Dungeon in the house.
What's up?
What's up, Triple D? Gotta love it. Okay, so.
Woody, it was awesome to hang out with you. I wish that we had gotten more time to hang out.
There he is.
If I went straight from the convention over there, I probably would have hung out with you at that barbecue. But man, I was exhausted and I had to bail. It was a long weekend.
And I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not gonna get into it. However, those communal experiences are parts of the reason why I think some people feel like they're in this camp and they're in this camp. Does that make sense, Matthew? That barbecue, late night restaurant, second floor, pool.
Well, does
that make sense though? And I get it. It's heated. It got a little heated. I left some comments on a stream in the past couple of days. Woody and I, we hashed that out a little bit. No offense and no offense given or taken, but you understand that. Does that make sense? Like people say, hey, this is kind of different and this is kind of different. This is my opinion about it. I've been to both and whatever. I feel like those communal experiences can happen. They're just different.
Well, yeah, and not a lot of people like hanging out and getting drunk in a bar all night. You
ain't nothing like hanging out and getting drunk at a bar all night, baby. I gotta say that's a good time.
And not that doesn't happen, because that clearly happens at DFW also.
Right.
Like I said, if you're hanging out with my buddy Gray, that's what's going to happen. And Gray takes care of everybody. So all of those experiences exist at both. It's just a matter of finding them. They're not just there. It's No,
I feel you. It just, hey, look, anybody that's watched me knows I have strong opinions. I'll take them to the nth degree sometimes, but also at the same time, I'll try to reel back, right? Reel the rod back and go, okay, yeah, whatever. But look, it makes us what we are. And again, Woody, love it, baby. And anybody that comes in, hangs out, it's always a pleasure.
Yep. But and War Chest, I would have liked to sign your book right over Punk's signature.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it was already taken.
Well, no, I would have signed.
You knew that.
I would have signed right over Punk.
Oh God, that would have been. You know what? Man, that would have been good. Tit for tat.
I mean, it's my spot, and you knew it, and you can't tell me you didn't, because I've told you the story of, several times about where I am in that book, so you already knew.
So no, it was a little tit for tat, and whatever. And for those that were there, watching it, kind of happen and trying to find out whatever. But you knew what was going on. You knew before anybody even mentioned it to you. Look. Let's run this list down real quick. Let's run this list. Let's get out of this list, because nobody gives a shit about this list right now, because you know what's not on it? Superman or Fantastic Four is not on this list. So no one really cares about this list. So let's just run it down real quick. Okay. Yep. Number 4, Megan 2.0, a complete bomb. $10 million. Wow. No, Matthew, this is a bomb. Compared to the first one, this is an absolute disappointment. Wow. 28 years later, holding strong. $50 million domestically. 2 weekends in release. Lilo and Stitch, hey, $400 million. Domestic, if we want to take a look at it as far as, let's see here. Let me go back real quick and I will show it. Worldwide, we're looking at almost $1 billion for Lilo and Stitch remake. And those that saw it really liked it. Some people had a problem with the ending. But a lot of people who have not seen the original didn't even know. So almost $1 billion for Lilo and Stitch. And that's fantastic. Look, I talk shit about Disney when I talk shit about Disney. I will praise Disney when they do something good. Okay. So, if this movie is raking it in for them, then great. They hit a nerve and found their audience for that film.
Yeah. I mean, I had a feeling. I mean, there's too much love for Lilo and Stitch for that not to do well. How to Train Your Dragon, I think, is a little bit more rare, but at the same time, the people that know it and love it.
Right.
So, I mean, these things are gonna do well.
Lilo and Stitch marketing. That people are still buying toys, still buying figures, still buying plushies, right?
Yep.
How to Train Your Dragon, not on that level. It doesn't surprise me that it hasn't made that much, almost 500 million. But Lilo and Stitch, almost $1 billion. That's pretty damn good.
What's interesting is that the How to Train Your Dragon toys still sell well. So the toys are selling. And there's more, I guess there's more of them than the Lilo and Stitch toys, right? But, I thought that NECA Elvis Stitch would have done better than it has been.
Lilo and Stitch, I think, more recognizable.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. More recognizable. How to Train Your Dragon, a few other characters.
Yeah.
I get it. Look, Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, hanging on strong. It has been a disappointment. Let's not kid ourselves. It's 561 mil worldwide. They probably spent $250 million making this film at least.
It seems to kind of be a standard range of budgets for these guys right now. $250 million for budget.
You're right.
Punk, if you did nothing of the sort, then you would have signed on Duke's face. You would have signed on Duke's face because you love Duke so much that's where you would have signed.
Yep, that's right. No, it's all good. It's all good. Look, here we go. Let's see. Knocking it out. Materialists, couldn't tell you. Don't know. A24 film. World of John Wick, Ballerina. A lot of people just didn't really fly with them. Not going to bring in the numbers of John Wick. And then Karate Kid Legends actually in 10th place, hanging on strong. Yeah. And your comments on the Ballerina film.
Yeah, I mean, the things that I've heard about it are just like, why? This is a streaming show. This is an in-betweener. It didn't need to be its own movie. And so you kind of see some of the agenda or whatever that's going on with it, but people tend to like the movie because it's made well, and there's some good things in it that aren't unrealistic, but it just doesn't seem like something you'd want to release in the theaters, that you'd want to make it into some episodes or put it on streaming or something like that can draw buzz and draw people in to watch it.
Yeah,
it just didn't seem movie worthy movie worthy.
Really quickly, G.I. Jetman, starring your comments on Glenn Powell, they are up at the top, and no biggie, I got them starred. Don't you worry, got them starred. We're I've got you. Don't you worry, my friend. I definitely have them starred, and we'll get to them for sure. So, as far as Jaws being the first film to use the rule of thirds, that I do not know. However, I will give you this information right here. In Jaws, the rule of thirds is employed to build suspense and draw the viewer's attention to specific elements within the frame. By positioning characters or objects on or near the intersection points of a 3x3 grid, filmmakers can create a visually engaging dynamic composition compared to a centered approach, such as when Chief Brody stares out at the ocean or when the shark is introduced. So, understanding the rule of thirds now, you guys, when you see Jaws again, think about that.
Yeah.
When you watch it, think about that scene and how that is employed. Even the chum
Yeah.
sequence
Yeah, all of it.
with a
If you look,
cigarette in his mouth.
if the
Like
cigarette
it's
in his mouth, I mean, and the way he's tossing it in,
yes,
everything. It's all the rule of
100%.
thirds. It's all
That's right.
energy. It's all emotion. It's all designed that way, and that's been going on since the 1920s,
Yes, sir.
right? People have been utilizing that, but what Jaws did that nobody had ever done before is the the zoom pan, right? So
Right.
you move in, but you go to a wide angle at the same time as you
Right.
move in. So it's the first time that was done on camera, and it was a brilliant effect that they came up with. I mean, talk about dramatic effect. But
Oh gosh.
if you look at it, it's still the rule of thirds because he's over here on the screen and then it
Yes.
zooms in and he's still over there on the screen, right? But it kind of shifts just a little bit depending on the version you're watching.
One of the most iconic like zoom scenes
Mm.
in the history of film. It truly is
Yeah.
that dramatic. And
Yep.
when you see it, like you know what that film is. You know
Yep.
exactly what scene it is.
Well,
And
and that technique was created for that film.
right. And such an amazing scene. Golly. Sometimes during a stream, you get like ideas and you forget to jot them down. Like, hey, let's go over Jaws. The 50th anniversary of Jaws. A lot of people are
Yeah.
doing those retrospectives and whatever. I would love to go do a live stream where we watch Jaws
Yeah.
and we go like in every frame of pause kind of thing
Yeah.
where we
Yeah.
go through it and then we talk about
It's
like this
brilliant.
scene and the importance about it and then we
So
watch a
brilliant.
little bit with the audience. I would
Yep.
love to do that. If anybody wants to do that, let me know. It's
Absolutely.
it really would be truly a treat
Yeah.
to for you guys to know the timestamp where we're at, what scene we're at because we can't show it
Yeah. Yeah.
and talk about that scene and what it means. Like that's man, I love watching those kinds of streams. Every
Yeah.
frame of pause is just unbelievable. What a great
Yeah,
stream.
yeah, I love it. And Jaws is one of those movies. I mean, it is literally the first blockbuster movie, the one that had people wrapped around the buildings, breaking the block,
Yes.
with attendance lines to trying to
It,
get in to see the movie. It was so popular and made so many people afraid of ever going into the water ever again.
well, it also caused a lot of sharks to be poached in waters
Yep,
because of that
yep,
movie. It had that's how much hysteria that
yep.
film caused. And we've gone off on a
Yeah,
that's what hey,
tangent,
it's what we do.
tangent.
It's what we do. It's what we do. What
Hey,
we
what's
do.
up, Random Diorama? It was great hanging
Hell
out
yeah.
with you this weekend. It was
Yes.
awesome to see you come out and interact with everybody and passing out your little computer consoles and talking business, talking shop with a bunch of people. I hope you had a good time. I know I did, and my time with you I thought was great. So thank you very much for hanging out with me. I appreciate it.
And good to see you here. Absolutely, 100%. Thank you for dropping by, and again, everybody hit the like button. What the hell? Definitely
So
helps.
a little story about Radnob there.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, he had me listed in his phone as that YouTube guy. I'm like, what? I'm not on YouTube because at the time that we had met and started talking about it, I wasn't doing anything on YouTube. So
That's interesting. Instead of that Instagram guy, maybe, right? Like, or whatever.
yeah, so he probably
get
doesn't
it.
pay attention to my photographs. I get it. I see you're just making your stuff. That's fine.
And hey, no, yeah, random dude, awesome, yeah, awesome, and yeah, we joke, we kid because we care. Actually, that really is the truth. It's not, it's no joke, man. But yeah, just messing around. But yeah, no, I mean, your photos are freaking fantastic. I was just telling somebody, I was literally just telling somebody on the phone about your photos who has no idea what you do. But I
Oh
was trying
yeah,
to describe what you do.
yeah,
And they really are. And so many others that are out there that are just like crushing it, especially with
yeah,
this
yeah.
classified line
Well,
or mixing lines and stuff like that. It's so cool. And the lighting, man, like you guys are so talented.
so I was amazed. You had Simon Toast and Figure Wood and Capwell Photos teaching a class with people like Emerald Knight and stuff like that in there. So if you are in the photography world, you know that you've got three heavyweights that are teaching this. One of them is like the big guy, like Simon Toast. He's known around Mezco circles and everywhere else, and he's awesome.
Right.
The other two are awesome as well. And then you have a guy like Emerald Knight in the class, and he's a guy who's killing it also. John's amazing. And then, you have a bunch of other guys, some guys just getting into it and whatever. But it was really great event to see all that awesome. Happen. Yeah.
So, look, I'm going to bring it up on screen. We're going to hit it up.
And since we're talking about Instagram for a second, somebody brought 100%. Up earlier, they had a question about Instagram and posting every day.
Okay.
I post every day because I want to be consistent. I try to post at a similar time every day at 7 p.m. Central. I try to post around then. Sometimes it's a little bit earlier. And then my Saturday posts are a little bit different. So that kind of messes it up maybe a little bit. But I find that it garnered an audience, and the big majority of focus of my audience is G.I. Joe. So I get the most interaction on my G.I. Joe photos. So I do that regularly, and I put that in everything because I love G.I. Joe. But I am disappointed at some of my best photos that have been taken with other lines that don't get as much love because I'm in the G.I. Joe algorithm and I'm not in all the others.
I mean,
that it is what sense. It is.
I mean, that makes sense. And if your focus is mainly on one thing, but you do utilize different characters, and also you mix and cross characters too.
Yeah.
And look, a lot of people do that, but I do enjoy like the stuff that you do. Very creative. Again, use of lighting, stuff like that. It's very good. So for those of you in here, I know you know that already. Obviously, check out the Instagrams right there at the bottom of his name, so on screen. So definitely check it out. But it is really good. G.I. Jetman, if you want to post it, go ahead, man, and I'll start. And we'll make sure. I do have your Glenn Powell comments starred, and we'll get to them. So let's go ahead and share this. Let's give our comments just quickly. Everybody's done with this. Snowcat, HasLab, in, out, good, bad. What do you think? And we'll get through it.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, I think it's a little bit overpriced.
Okay.
I was disappointed at seeing the price tag on it. I understand you're getting a lot of cool stuff in there, but honestly, if you're generous, okay, the two figures and Bivouac are about $100. Okay. If you break that Bivouac out, it's a $50 set on its own.
Okay.
You could probably get away with that. Each figure is about 25. Okay, maybe 30. Okay, so maybe a little more than 100, right? But you're talking about $100 worth of tiered stuff, right? So if you hit all the tiers, you get that, right? And so if it's 325, you're looking at 225. 225 for that does not compute. This is a $175 vehicle with lights and figure and all that stuff in my mind.
Okay.
And so that leaves me a little wanting on that price tag. Is it a good offering? Yes. Is there a lot of amazing stuff in there? Yes. There's a lot of stuff that I would love to see in photography, and I like the Snowcat. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm in Carson's book with my Snowcat. Okay. Right. So it's there, and I do admire it and I like it. But this goes back to, God forbid, what Bobby Valla said, right? It is the price creep. It is the
Bobby Valla, no.
Yeah, and this is what corporations do. they tune up the heat a degree at a time and see who's going to bite. How many people are out? What's that number? What's that zeitgeist number where we get what we want and make enough money, and we don't alienate too many people, but we keep charging more and more and more until we hit that point, and then we pull it back a little bit, right? And that's what they're doing here. They're turning up the temperature really slowly on this, and they're cooking us. They're boiling us alive, whether you know it or not. Does it have a lot of cool features? Are they trying to sell it? That's their job. Yes, sure. They're trying to sell it. Does it look good? Yes. Is it better than the add-ons that Gridiron has done? Yes. If you take the Stinger add-ons, this is better than that, in my opinion. Is it modular? Yes. Can they add that could they change that missile turret to a gun turret? Yes. Could they add armor points on there? Throw a 50 cal on each side of it? Yeah, they could, right? Do like they
Right.
did with the his tank, right? These are things that are possible. They didn't do it. But everybody knew that if they did a snowcat, that they were going to have to make it a troop transport. It's the only way they were going to justify the price point. But the price point's just a hair too high for me.
So with all that taken into account, and I think you make some great valid points. I really do. But Matthew, it's so big. It's so big.
Yep. How much is the phalanx?
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. They got me hook, line, and sinker. They have me hook, line,
Yeah.
and sinker. I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you, Matthew.
Oh man, I mean they got me too, but
They've got
I'm not in. I'm
me
not in on this yet. I'm not
hook, line, and
convinced.
sinker. I will tell you this, okay? I waited until the last 2 hours to back the his tank. And I got it, and I got everything. I know it was an early bird special, and then they changed that and whatever. And so I still got everything, even though I waited to the last 2 hours of the backing to back it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even collecting classified at that time. I
Yeah.
maybe a few.
Right.
But I was like, this thing's so. And I heard Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers was like, oh my God, this thing is awesome. And I let his opinion sway me. But So I did. I backed the his tank and I got everything.
So I will tell you the his tank was probably one of the best offerings that they had. How much was the
Okay.
his tank? How much was the his tank?
Well, at that time, what, $299?
Was it 275?
No, I thought it was $299.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah.
But my point being is that, I let nostalgia get the better of me at that time. I'm glad I got it. I didn't have to overpay for it, nor did I have to make any deals or whatever. The Dragonfly, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I got it because it's badass. The
Right.
Rattler, from what I've seen, I'm glad I got it. It'll be
Yep.
here Thursday on my doorstep on
Nice.
Thursday. I'm
Nice.
stoked for that big ass box.
Yep.
I do wonder, are we going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because people just don't have the room for this stuff?
Yeah.
I will say this, Snowcat, great. Like it. Cool toy. Had it.
Yeah.
Thought it was cool. Would I have liked to have seen something else? Yes. I also am one of those people that maybe I'm in the minority. I know they weren't going to give us exclusive characters. They were going to give us reuse. So Flint, Lady J, fine. Flint's my favorite character in G.I. Joe. But I maybe would have liked to have seen some other guys. But yeah, we know they're going to give us those guys down the line. So they're not going to put them behind a paywall.
Yeah.
I like what I've seen. I like the fact of everything they've added. It will reach its tiers. It will reach its goals. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
There still is a part of me that's like, man, like I kind of wanted something else. But at the same time, they've got their fishing pole right into my nostalgia feels.
Yep.
And I will be backing it. I will be getting it. I do understand why those that don't want it won't get it, and they will talk shit about. I get that.
I'm not gonna
really
I'm not,
do.
So in this instance, I'm not gonna talk shit about it because I understand that and I appreciate it. And you know what? That bivouac is probably one of the greatest things that they've done. And I know they're gonna do it in a single release after the fact, and that's awesome. And I'll have to pick that one up. I'd like to have the snowcat, but I don't see it fitting.
So let me
my thing.
let me ask you a question. Did you order the Rattler
Yeah,
for the same price?
yeah. It's the Rattler.
I'm with you. And see, that's what you took the words out of my mouth, right? That's iconic.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about iconic in a Ironheart kind of iconic way. I'm talking about it's iconic because it is iconic. That is
Yeah.
a vehicle that everyone who is a fan of this line, and look, everybody that's a fan of this line knows what the Snowcat is. But man, oh man, oh man, the Rattler, the Night Raven. If you
Yeah.
did the Night Raven,
So
that's
yeah, I
iconic.
mean,
Sky Striker,
here's
iconic.
the thing with me and GI Joe, right? You know, I talked about a little bit of this on Sunday. My dad worked for NASA. He was in aviation space. So the aircraft, I built model aircraft from the time I was about 5 years old. Okay. I love models aircraft. I love aircraft. I love sailboats. Right. So they go together. If you know, you know. Um,
Right.
so aircraft are a thing. So, a Sky Striker, that was the F-14 Tomcat was the vehicle I was in love with in the 80s. The Rattler, the A-10, I love it. The SR-71, I've sat in an SR-71
Yeah, that
before.
was one of my
It's
favorite planes back. Yeah, yeah, as a
so
kid.
you
Right.
got the Night Raven, the original design for the Night Raven. And quite honestly, if they did a Night Raven and classified, I would have been all over it. But that thing is so massive, I don't know how they could do
No,
that,
no, no,
because
no,
I've
no.
seen the 1/12th version of the Night Raven that somebody's
Right.
made, and that thing is so huge. So I get what they're doing, and honestly, Punk has said it, other people have said it. I thought this HasLab should have been the Whale, and if it was the Whale, I think it would have been one of the most amazing play sets that they would have ever created. And they're trying to do it with this, and I see it, and I love the modularity. I love the troop transport and the storage space and all the stuff that they're doing with it. I just don't have that same connection with the Snowcat that I do with the aircraft,
I feel you. I
which
feel
is
you.
also why I want the Air Eagle, right?
And okay, yeah, right. I know it's covered up over here, but it is back here. I know I'm not on full screen or anything, but the Air Eagle, I would like to do a unboxing, putting together video, but I don't think anybody respects my opinions on toys, to be quite honest with you. But I would like to do that because it looks so freaking awesome, and I wanted to get it. And I'm glad I did actually. It looks great, and seeing the videos of it looks great. So real quick, Dreadnought K6, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. As always, says I'm skipping this trash snowcap. Tears piss me off. HasLab backtracked on prior statements concerning the snowcap not being HasLab worthy. Now I don't remember those statements, to be honest with you. I don't
So
know where they're
so to
from.
to be
Refresh
fair,
me.
yeah,
Refresh me.
to be fair, um, Lenny was kind of speaking off the cuff, and he
Okay.
was talking more about the Thunder Machine.
Okay.
He said it doesn't have to be a HasLab. It's like you could make this at $125 price point, or maybe $150, make it a Pulse premium or Pulse exclusive or retailer exclusive or whatever, and you could make that 125 $150 vehicle work out that way. And Lenny
Okay.
saw a way to do that with the Snowcat, which is another reason why I say that this is slightly overhyped, overpriced, and it's those corporate guys putting the screws in.
I
Um,
guess
and
the
and
thing is,
and Dreadnought, I don't think it's a trash offering. I think it's just a little bit overpriced.
well, and Nolan says, "Look, I'm on the shelf. You know,
Yeah,
Canadian 443.50, and I get that, right? That
yeah,
is over 100 US. In our when you reason it out in your mind, obviously, it's like, man, that's a
yeah.
hundred
And
dollar
and
more
Nolan,
than it should be. You know,
if you stop electing socialists to government positions, you might not have to worry about those tariffs. But
Matthew, are you coming on a Sunday night stream or are you coming on a Tuesday night stream? All right. Don't get people pissed off at you. Let them get pissed off at me. All right. Like that's the idea here. That's what we do. War Chest is Baroness change of color in the two tone on
so yeah, I was so
on the yeah.
so
I'm not happy
it's
about that either. I didn't like the early kind of prototype or showing you the render or whatever. And then all of a sudden now the colors are not the same. I preferred the
so
previous what we were shown.
listen, we don't have it in hand yet. We can't say exactly because it is still a blue. It is a deep dark blue, and I thought it was going to be lighter, and I think everybody thought it was going to be lighter, and it should have been lighter, because quite honestly, it should have been, at least this color. If it's darker than the retro Trooper blue, I'm going to be a little disappointed. But I don't know until I have it in hand, because
Right,
I
right.
can't really compare it with the lighting choices that some people have made.
That is so hard. And I think it's something that I brought up maybe the other day is that, when you have it in hand, sometimes that changes everything.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. And especially you're right, the lighting, everything can completely change the way this thing looks. I'm guessing they're going to try to give you the truest representation of the figure or the, vehicle or whatever, and that paint scheme. But again,
Yep.
YouTube compression,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Watching it on your phone. How's
I
your phone? Do you have your phone on vivid? Do
right.
you have it on like normal? Do you have it on movie? Like those are things people don't even think to take into account when they're viewing something. Is that how do you have your phone set? Is it set on different color grading settings when you're watching stuff? So I think sometimes that can confuse people when they are
Well,
actually looking at something.
I think it's funny because some people are talking about, hey, if you take all those overlays off the Baroness, it's actually the comic book, blue Baroness with the
No,
yellow
no, no,
shoulder.
no, no,
It
no,
said,
no, no.
no, it's not.
No, it's
No, it's
not.
not.
Let's not. I heard that today, and I was like,
Yeah.
no, that's not. That's
No,
not.
it's not.
There's no gold belt. There's no light blue. Like
And
it.
their
No, it's not even
shoulder pads,
close.
yeah, no, no, not even.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, Nolan,
Yeah, I heard that
it's all
today.
good, man. I get that too. There's only about 5 states that actually choose our president in our country too.
and
So I get
and
it.
that is the truth, for sure. Yeah, war chest. Hey, that's a big 3D print, and I would quit that too if I were you. It costs you way too much to make it. Viper Scout says, "Well, it would be 500." I agree. I mean,
Yeah,
well,
probably
yeah, it's
450.
pretty damn big. That's for
Yeah,
sure, right? And
I mean,
so, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it is the ultimate display piece that we could possibly get for
It's
classified.
true.
That would be the very biggest thing that they could ever do in
It's
classified,
true.
in my opinion.
Yep.
Unless they do modular things for the GI Joe headquarters or Terradrome, and they'd
And
have to be sold modularly.
and I gotta say, Dreadnought, as far as the figs, sucking, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I
I
like
don't think so.
Frostbite. I think I like Frostbite and the look. I like it with that. It's a base package. If
You mean Legend series?
yes, Legend series, exactly. And then not releasing mainline figs behind a Hasball, has a paywall. My bad, is a bullshit excuse too. With retro cards, it's very simple.
No,
Classify the Hasline
so
figs, retro
no,
card
no,
them
no.
too.
Look,
Yeah, I don't know if it's that simple. I don't know
look.
that's that simple.
I agree with a lot of people that are saying, look, if you put named characters in their version 1 colors or outfits behind a paywall of a HasLab, there are going to be more people pissed off than if you put alternate figures or alternate versions of figures that have never been released or are rare releases behind a
Right,
HasLab, right? Of course, you got to get the driver. You got to get the driver with the vehicle.
right,
That's a given. But I said from the beginning, this had to be Duke and Scarlet in Arctic outfit, and they picked Flint and Lady J, which is even better because I love Flint, I love Lady J more so than I like Duke, by all accounts.
right.
So I think that's the only way they could go is taking Joe's and put him in Arctic gear. And somebody else brought it up today. This is the thought that's going around everybody's head. Classified is going Sunbow, and
Oh, 100%. You
I,
can tell that's
I,
where they're headed, right?
I really don't like that.
So
And
so
it's turning me off on a couple things. But at the same time, if they do it
I
well enough,
do,
I I was
I do.
I mean, as much as I love the Sunbow cartoon, I am a comic book guy. I love the comic book. I love the original figures.
They know that the cartoon butters their
Is the
bread.
Well, it is the vast majority
They
of
know
people.
that.
Yeah, it's the vast majority of
Come
people that
on.
are going to come by and see it. They go, I remember that cartoon. I watched that as a kid, and they're going to see something they connect with, which is what happened with Super Seven for a minute until they started making shit product and nobody
Right.
wanted it anymore. Well, they are always making bad stuff,
Yeah,
but
man, they know where their bread is buttered, and yes, they're leaning into it. They're leaning into the mass device, or they're leaning
yeah.
into right and whatever. And so I get it. I do. I get it,
And
and
and you
I
know what?
like it. I'm
The,
here for it personally.
So you know what? I am in for the Mass Device. I think that is one of the most brilliant animated shows on TV at that time. You did that 5-part miniseries and you threw it all
Come
together,
on.
and it's got so much iconic stuff in there. I love it. They don't acknowledge the Marvel comics. I wouldn't say
They
they don't
don't.
acknowledge it, but at the
Yeah,
same
but it's
time,
not on their radar, man. You know that.
so somebody talked about this recently. In fact, it was at DFW. It was with the original creators of Hasbro, and somebody actually asked them this question, and they said, "Why in the original line was there not a Quinn or Doctor Venom or Scarface made? What could you not use the comic book characters?" And it said it wasn't a two-way street, right? If they created something, Marvel Comics could use it, right? Because we gave
Right.
them that right. But if they
Right.
created something, if Larry Hama created something or Marvel Comics created something, they
That
would have to
become
they would have to pay them the rights to
yes.
use that idea
You're
that they
right, and
used.
that becomes lost in the discussion a lot of
It
times with a
Yep.
lot of things, with a
Yes.
lot of properties. That becomes lost. Well, why can't they just put out a Spider-Man movie?
Yeah.
Why can't they just do, where's the Incredible Hulk movie? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe Universal still owns the rights. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's so much involved, and you are correct. And for your opinion, Matthew, I have to say,
Pay that man his money.
that's right. You deserve a Rounders.
So I will
Rounders
tell you,
quote.
I had this discussion with some of those Hasbro guys this weekend, and when they made that deal with Marvel Comics to animate comic book commercials, and it led to this whole big thing. You know what the number one selling book at Marvel was?
No, not Batman. Hello. You guys will kill me. Number one selling book at Marvel.
In that
When?
early mid 80s.
Early mid 80s. I'd have early mid 80s. I had to say X-Men.
G.I. Joe.
Really?
Marvel Comics was about bankrupt. They made
Okay.
this deal with Hasbro,
All right.
and the G.I. Joe comics brought more readers back to Marvel than any other comic book ever has.
Interesting.
So
That's great.
they brought that up, and they were going off on it, and they were saying, look, we saved Marvel Comics in the early 80s because of this deal that we worked out with them. And then we did the animation, did the toys, and it was this synergistic thing that brought more people in to buy G.I. Joe comic books. But then when they went to the comic book store, or the spinner rack, they didn't just pick up G.I. Joe comics. They
Right.
picked up a Spider-Man comic, or they picked up a Fantastic Four comic, or whatever. And
Right.
X-Men, I picked up X-Men comics at that time.
Yeah,
Right.
I was getting X-Men comics at that time. I was
And
collecting Joe,
yeah.
but I did pick up X-Men comics and Captain America, some other brands.
So I've got another great story we might get to a little bit later, but
Quickly, Weather Dominator better than Mass Device. Can't argue with that. That's
you
just
know what?
me.
I mean, I like that one, and it introduces all those later characters that everybody likes, like Flint and all
Right.
that stuff. But I like
Vi-
the original Snake Eyes being in there, fighting a
Vi-
freaking polar bear.
I mean, come on. Right. Yeah, I can't argue. But yeah, Weather Dominator was for me that one, I think, that really just brought it home for me as a kid. And on Thanksgiving, they would show all 5 of them in a row, like on whatever the 5th channel that you might have had on your TV.
That's right.
Comic had thousands of readers. Cartoons had millions of viewers.
I
Exaggerated,
will.
yes, but Viper Scout,
Well,
in a
hold on a second.
way,
Hold on a second. It's
okay.
It's not an exaggeration.
No.
But the truth is, there were millions of comic books sold every month for those GI Joe books, and millions of viewers. But there were more viewers of the cartoon, and more
Right.
lasting viewers of the cartoon than there were people who held on to those comic books.
Right. No, I agree. But at that time, and we'll all agree, what a wonderful time to be a G.I. Joe fan, right? In the mid 80s. You're getting these quality comics, you're getting cartoons after school, right? let alone your little mini series. You've got your figures in high octane. Like it was, and that's why people care so much about it right now, because they remember that time, and it was so just important to you.
Right.
And obviously, yes, that's what drives nostalgia, but like that was a great time to be into as a child.
Yeah.
With Transformers as well, Cops and Crooks, whatever, Mask, everything. There was so many products coming out that were appealing to you at that time. It was such a great time to be alive as a child, because you had so much to choose from. Right.
One of the big stories is what the Hasbro designer said. If we could have, we would have bought Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and destroyed it and crushed it, thrown it in the corner, swept it away. That's what took away their biggest market share, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
So, 100%, until those fans grew out of it and it died off, right? And then the second, third Turtle movie came out and it was shit.
Yeah, whatever.
And it happens. It is what it is.
So that leads into another good one. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Nolan said growing up in small town, Canada was pretty much impossible to keep up with any comics. And that is understandable. Like, you don't have that access that everybody else does. And sometimes we treat it as if we just understand that everybody had that access to the comics, to the figures, to the cartoon even. There's people that probably grew up in Germany at that time on an Air Force base. And you had to have shit recorded on VCR and sent to you to be able to watch it if you were a child.
Yeah, right? Viper Scout, after Ninja Turtles, it was Power Rangers. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. Really quickly, I want to get this. Number one, going back to the comment about the Baroness and being a like lighter, darker color, whatever. From what I could tell, she's much darker, right? In these pics, like it's a darker than what we were promised, what we were shown.
It's what it looked
very much darker.
Yeah. That wasn't me.
No, that was me. You guys, by this point, if you've heard my ringtone or
no, it wasn't me texting you. I'm just saying.
Oh, no. Okay, so really quickly, I do want to address this comment. Okay. Fire Emily, and I'm guessing Lenny. I don't know. It says pay Hammer, which is what that says.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And I don't know what problem you're solving.
Yeah,
exactly.
That
I'm not sure where we're at with that.
That statement doesn't make any sense, because, granted, if you have a conversation with Punk, he doesn't know what marketers actually do, or what they're supposed to do.
They're not supposed to be fans. They are business people. They are marketing experts. It's like they look at trends and things that have nothing to do with whether you're a fan or not.
We actually had a little bit of a conversation about this, and how Letty views it and what Emily does or doesn't do. Emily's tried to learn the brand. She's trying to help market it, but she's not allowed to actually be a marketer, right? She's kind of a promoter. She talks about stuff or whatever. Real marketers go in there and they work with the designers and they change the designs based on what they think will sell. They're going to say, hey, we need some of this stuff because we've done market research on it, and this is what the kids want. This is what the community wants. So this is what we need to produce. So they go in and tell the designers, give them a direction on what to design. Then they come up with a design, and then the marketers say, well, we need it in this color, and this color, not those colors. And so they change the color pattern because that's what's going to pop or appeal. So the marketers come in there and they actually change the designs as they're being made. That's what a marketer is supposed to do, because they guide the design of the products that are coming out. And what Emily does, I think she may try to do some of that. I don't know. She probably wasn't trained in all of those things because she's on 6 different brands. She can't do it. I think she's doing a heck of a job. I don't think she's the problem. I think the corporate board is the problem. And I don't know, maybe Lenny, I don't know, but I think Lenny has his heart in the right place. I don't think Larry Hama would know what the hell to do with it. He's not a toy maker. He doesn't know how to make toys or anything about making toys.
I'm just going to be honest with you too. At this point in his life, the last thing Larry wants to do is be in charge of something like this.
He doesn't want to work any harder than he is right now. And
I mean, look, I watched this panel. I watched this panel at Joe Fest. Like, it's all Larry can do to get up and really, be active and like, and I appreciate the fact that he's there and he shows up and he is funny as shit and he's a pleasure to talk to. He really was. And I had a couple great off the cuff conversations with him.
Oh yeah.
The last thing he wants to do is anything involving this kind of structure.
No,
One thing I will say,
he doesn't want the hassle.
So look, guys, I'm gonna tell you, I was critical of Emily in the early beginnings, and the reason why I was critical, and I will tell you this right now, is because I'll never forget the G.I. Joe stream where everybody had to announce their pronouns before they spoke. Yeah. Okay, now. Was she directed to do that? Probably so. At that time, because at that time, it was a popular thing for companies to make their people do.
No, she wasn't.
Okay. So, look, whatever.
So
if that, hang on, Matthew, let me hang on a second. All right, just chill for a second. If not directed to do that, I have a problem with someone's personal beliefs getting in the way of their corporate job. This is a G.I. Joe stream. There are 50-year-old men watching a toy stream who give no shits about pronouns. So, initially, those were my issues. And I'm not scared to admit that because I don't give a shit. If you've watched me enough, you know how I feel about shit like that. So, if not directed to do that by Hasbro, I have a problem with that because it's embarrassing to watch grown men say he, him before they can speak about stalker.
I get
hang on. However, people are hired to do a job. Don't give a shit about their background. If they're qualified for that job, and folks, let's not kid ourselves, we've been eating good for a while, right? Have we not?
Yeah.
We've been eating good for a while. We've gotten a lot of shit we want. We're always going to complain. Yep. The bottom line is we've been eating good for a while. That's something I can't complain about.
Right.
And when it comes to marketing, I'm not going to talk about their app. I'm not going to talk about their customer service or whatever.
Yeah.
Strictly talking about the product, getting it out, getting it to you. I got no problems with it.
Right.
Okay?
So
that was my initial interactions with watching her on streams. I was not a fan of that. I'm still not a fan of that. However, she's not supposed to be a fan. She's a marketing person.
Yes.
Okay? Lenny's the fan.
Yeah.
Right? Let's get it clear. Right here and right now. It's called jobs, folks.
Right.
You don't have to just totally be all in on the product. You need to know how to market it and sell it and get it to people. And that is something they have done. Right, wrong, indifferent, bad, good, whatever, shipping problems aside. So now, Matthew, go right ahead.
I will say this. What is Emily's job? Her job is a marketer. What did I just describe a marketer as? Somebody who reads the market, right? So she's going in there. She wasn't directed by anybody at Hasbro to do that. She took it upon herself to do that because of what she was exposed to, and she's exposed to social media. And where was social media at the time? Social media was controlled by a certain group of people. And 100%. So she paid attention to what the hashtags were and what people were promoting online all the time, 24/7. And so when you watch that all the time and you get fed that propaganda all the time, it gets stuck in your head. And so whether she believes it or not, or agrees with it or not, is not the question. She did it because she saw it happening on social media and everywhere else. And so she's like, this is something that we should probably do as well. And that's my opinion why she did it. Whether she believes it or not, or supports it or not, is not the question. I don't care about that. That's most likely the reason why she did it, because she's a marketer and she looks at market research, and her market research is solely based on social media at the moment. And that's a problem with the marketing.
I guess one thing I'd have to say about that and push back on it is that, like, you do have to understand your fan base. It's the same thing Bud Light made a mistake on, and it cost them billions of dollars, and still costing them money.
It's for the same reason.
Yeah, you still have to understand your audience, and so I don't think most toy enthusiasts are on board with the whole pronoun thing, and I think, look, it's a misstep. It hasn't happened again. It hasn't been a continuation.
Right. And Dreadnought. It hasn't been a continuation because of the backlash that she got from it.
100%.
All over social media. She saw that. She took that in stride.
Right. You are
decided not to push it any further because she saw that, okay, this market doesn't agree with this, and this market may not be that market, and we need to hone this market and bring it back up. So she took a step back from it.
And I think at that time,
she pivoted based on that current information. So
at that time, it was popular for all the sudden companies to start doing this thing, regardless of what their fan base was, their customer base. And that's where companies lost a lot of money because they didn't, their fan base weren't about that.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It's just, hey, look, I'm a 50-year-old guy. I ain't doing that shit. Right. So, I get it. Look, again, that's my personal experience.
Yeah.
First exposure. Don't like this. I think this shit is weird. After that, gone. Okay, put it in the box. Let's move forward. Personally, now at this point, I don't give a shit. I really don't. Just I want product, right?
You know what I like about Emily
I like
the
product
is that Emily and Lenny have incredible chemistry when they're on camera together. And so, Dreadnought, you say that's your point exactly. She doesn't understand the market. She was trying to understand the market, and she was taking the best evidence available at the time. And she made, in my opinion, one mistake. For
the most part, I think you're right. And look, I'm not gonna say whether the hire was focused on ESG, or whatever. Like,
I don't know her qualifications prior to being there.
I don't either, and I've never looked them up. Now, I am curious if someone did look them up just to see, because you can look that shit up, you can find out, and that's fine. That's great. I don't know if that was the case. Dreadnought, you know how I feel about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you know that. So I'm right here with you on those facets, and I agree. A lot of times, especially in the last 5-10 years, a lot of those things have happened. But I will say, since that time, I mean, look, watching the streams, I got no problem with it. It's fine with me. I'm tend to be maybe more nitpicky about the product than I am about the people doing the stream. Right.
Yeah, me too.
And so I think that for me really is what it falls down to, because think of it is, I call shit out when I see it, just like I just told you a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also will recognize things that I am okay with and good with and I'm fine with. And so, like, I have no problem being on one side and then going over to this side if I can reconcile those things together and say, hey, I get it. Shit happens. You're hired to do a job. Look, if somebody's going to pay you, guess what we're all going to do? We're going to take the job.
We're going to do what they're paying us to do.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Nonetheless, look, so of course, don't need to turn this whole stream into a G.I. Joe fan stream and all that stuff. Again, hit the like button. Appreciate anybody and everybody that joins us every week. Normally it is movies, TV, trailers and everything. And we are going to get to that right now. But, hey, sometimes things take a tangent, and sometimes things, and I agree with you, Dreadnought. You do bring up valid points, right? Yeah. Like you do. And you know that. You know how I feel. But in this particular case, I've got my opinions too, and we're still friends at the end of the day, right? So I do want to bring up the Running Man trailer, but we've got a little bit of news to get to. We have some news to get to, and I'm going to. I have eschewed my Stream Deck because I'm scared to death that it's going to crash my freaking. It's going to crash my desktop and my camera. So I just want to bring this up if I can, at the very least, bring up something that will not have tons of ads on it. So
good luck.
guys, I know, right? So you guys may have heard about this. I'm going to bring it up briefly so we can move on and get to some trailers and some movie news. Jim Shooter, teenage comics writer who revolutionized Marvel as editor-in-chief, dies at 73 years old, 78 to 87 with Marvel. And that obviously is a very classic period of time for a lot of our comic book heroes and a lot of the people that we love to read, including Frank Miller on Daredevil, Chris Claremont, John Byrne on Uncanny X-Men, and so many more. 73 years old is not old these days, folks, but cancer will get you at any age.
Yeah, fuck cancer.
Yeah, Jim Shooter, very integral and also at the same time, some people may say, hey, he was also integral into that downfall, as you and I just talked about a few minutes ago, where, it's like you have some things that are on the way out and then something resuscitates that brand, like G.I. Joe, right? And you've got Captain America, X-Men, can't figure out what to do with the brand. And then you move into the 90s. But he was out before then.
Yeah, he was out. If you look at his body of work, he brought in people like Frank Miller, right? He brought in some of the best talent. He was a part of some of the best things. Jim Shooter was the editor on G.I. Joe from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And that's why the 14th member of G.I. Joe is named Shooter, because Jim Shooter was on that panel in the first issue of the comic book.
Right there.
And so, Jim Shooter was the kind of asshole who went around and got shit done.
Boy, right? What a terrible thing.
He pushed people and he challenged people to make good stories. And if it wasn't a good story, he said, that's not a fucking good story. We're not going to tell that story. He is responsible for changing Larry Hama's line that Hawk said in that first issue. And then Larry Hama, it took him over 40 years to get it fixed, and Skybound is the only one to reprint the original line that Hawk said in that comic book that Jim Shooter changed, because Jim Shooter wanted a jingoistic, patriotic statement coming from Hawk. And that's fine, because that was the 80s, right? But Hama's statement is probably a little more accurate, but it doesn't matter. Jim Shooter made that decision because he knew it would sell more comic books, and it would get kids and parents okay with their kids wanting these things and buy them for them, right? So Jim Shooter made a lot of decisions because he understood how to tell a good story and how to market things, and it pissed a lot of people off. To
become editor-in-chief at 26, when you have writers and inkers and artists that are maybe much older than you, or 10 years older, 15 years older than you, to be in charge of those people. People are going to be pissed at that. And at 26, that's very young to become an editor-in-chief in particular. However, you got to say, man, like making sure books are published on time. Oh, no. Artists were paid on time. Oh, no. And given royalties and health insurance. Oh no! Like, what a terrible guy.
Okay, so I didn't send this to you, and maybe I have to read it to you. I actually let me find it real quick. Larry Hama made a statement about Jim Shooter, and I don't know if you got to see that or not.
I don't know, but if I can find it, I could probably dig it up. But with 1984 Secret Wars 12-issue miniseries that Shooter, Mike Zeck, and John Beatty drew, he instituted the concept of publishing crossover events, company-wide initiative that saw one main story play out and influence many of the other titles coming out for months on end. You guys know Secret Wars. You know how that has influenced comics moving forward and crossover events. We all understand that. Says still, while many call Shooter a complicated man, Larry Hama, who was writing G.I. Joe, Real American Hero for Marvel, as well as editing titles, said that he believed Shooter was always trying to do the right thing. Hama recalled on Facebook how Shooter put a writer-artist on the company's insurance plan the day after he died in order to help out his widow. The talent had qualified for the health insurance plan and wanted to sign up, but Marvel policy only allowed for signups on Wednesdays. The man died on the Tuesday. Hammer wrote, without hesitation, Jim took the paperwork from me, went upstairs to push it through. They owe it to him. We just won't mention that he already passed, which that's some finagling, folks.
Yep.
They owe it to him. We just won't mention. I witnessed him doing stuff like that several times. None of it was made public for obvious reasons.
Right.
It could have cost him his job, but he did the right thing.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
And that's the kind of asshole he was.
Right.
He got shit done. Okay. And that's who Jim Shooter was. And that's why Eric July met him and had a wonderful conversation with him. Just a year or two ago. And I thought that was awesome. And I wish I could have met him. But at the same time, that's pretty much the story I was going to say about Larry Hama, what he said, because, they quoted it from his page, obviously.
Right.
And Jim wanted to do the right thing for people. And whether you agreed with his politics or agreed with his methods or not, he got stuff done. He forced people to be more creative than they thought they could be. And he brought out the best in the people around him. Or
that's what a boss does.
Fold. Yep. He watched people fold under the pressure, right? And said, okay, bye-bye.
Yep. That's what a boss does, is they bring out the best in their employees, even if they're a hard ass. That's something that's lost on today's generation, is that, sometimes you need to give a kick in the pants to people to get them jump started. And when you don't do that and it's not allowed anymore, guess what people do? They take the easy way out. It's just the truth of the matter. That's
some people are equating Jim Shooter as the second greatest Marvel editor next to Stan Lee. And
did he work for Stan? No, not to my knowledge. Yeah, not to my knowledge. Stan was already gone. Yeah, right.
Yeah. He was his own man. He was his own editor. He was the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics after Stan had retired from that position.
So look, let's hit up a little bit more news, because I definitely want to get into these trailers. Squid Game Season 3, final season, sets 3-day record on Netflix charts, joins the streamer's all-time top 10 for non-English language series in its first week, which I find remarkable, because I'd say the majority of the people signed up for Netflix are in America. I would say I would guess the overwhelming majority. And you gotta watch it with captions, folks. Like, you gotta watch it with subtitles. It's not something you want to try to listen to the Americanized version, okay? But Squid Game Season 3, Matthew, have you heard anything about it? Do you know? Have you been spoiled? Are you going to watch it?
I don't give a shit. I watched the first season of Squid Game, and it was entertaining, but I really had to be forced to watch it to begin with, because it was not something that was on my radar. I didn't really care. People were saying how good it was. I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I watched it. I liked it. And the creator of the show said he told his story. That was it. But it became so popular, they forced him to make a season 2 and beyond. Yes. And I had no interest in watching the second season or beyond. I have not seen the second season, so I have no desire to watch this season.
Can I give you... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I thought the first season was contained story, and it was so well done. That's all that needed to be told.
So I will say this. I agree with your sentiments on season 1. I think that's really where it could have been left. I do agree with you. And yes, it is well known that they were forced to continue the work. Now, if somebody dangles a big ass paycheck in front of you, you're probably going to be like, yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. I get it. But then you have to figure out, how do we continue this story? I will say season 2 has its moments. There are characters you don't like. There's characters you do like, just like the first season. Season 3, I have not watched. I do know what happens. That does not ruin the enjoyment for me as a fan of watching shows or film or TV or whatever. But I could see where people would be a little divisive. But it amazes me, honestly, that It says the third and final season of the series amassed 60.1 million views worldwide in 3 days. The largest 3-day tally Netflix has ever recorded in its internal rankings. Now, unfortunately, folks, we don't even really know what those numbers mean. We don't know what incorporates a view. We don't know if you fall asleep and you leave the trailer playing on the front screen over and over. Does that count as a view? Like, we really don't know. And those numbers are not divulged to us. So every week you see Disney saying Ironheart was the #1 show on Disney Plus. I mean, no. What does that even mean?
The #1 new show, the newest #1
this
Marvel
weekend
show this weekend on a Thursday or
whatever. On a Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right? Like, pay attention to that, because honestly, folks, that's the truth. That's how they word this stuff. They give you word salad and they try to convince you this is the best show since yesterday, which was the best show they had of something else, right? Like, that's just how they do it, and that's how you can read it. So I don't know what to take this as. Now, Clint Jorgensen's here. He says it's the best show. The show is awesome, rather. And I did like season 2. It wasn't what season 1 was.
Right.
I did like season 2. I thought there were interesting ideas that were brought into play. Season 3, I don't know how many more times you can like cut a cookie in a shape out of a thing and play a game, or like play three-legged man race around a circle. I don't know, but I will say they've made it interesting. And there's one thing they do, Matthew, that American shows aren't doing. Mm-hmm. They have character growth.
Right.
They have quality storytelling.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yes, last season they did introduce some identity politics, which I was not thrilled about. But for the most part, the character was okay, but it did come up. And I don't know if that's Netflix saying, if you want a season 2, you must include this, and you have to. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, maybe.
Nonetheless, I don't want to make this the biggest part, or not the biggest, a part of the stream.
Yeah.
I just want to merely mention that Squid Game season 3 still pulling in big numbers a few years after season 1, and it must be doing great. So. That's it is to be noted. I still am curious about what those numbers actually mean.
Right.
I think sometimes we read headlines and we just take it for face value. But to me, it's like, what does that really mean? Like we just joked about, because there's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
Did you hear about this story? Spider-Man No Way Home changed pivotal Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire scene after the director looked at Reddit. Did you see this?
No.
John
I didn't
Watts,
see this. Somebody sent me something else that said the whole thing was canceled and Sony was selling Spider-Man, and I said, don't believe bullshit. Sony's never going to get on Spider-Man.
Believe that. And folks, I apologize if I'm not highlighting
on Spider-Man.
No, they never will. It's too popular.
No.
So if I'm not highlighting the chat, folks, it's just because I'm trying to click through these stories and kind of get us there. So I apologize if I'm not highlighting it, but just understand I am seeing it, and definitely Matthew and I will remark on it. John Watts pivoted after seeing fan art predicting a key moment. If that's exactly what everybody thinks we're going to do, we absolutely can't do that. So he explained how the introduction of Maguire and Garfield's characters evolved over the course of production, noting that the older versions of Peter Parker were intended to arrive in a scene where Holland's version of the character is mourning the death of Aunt May. If we've seen this film, we all know that scene, right? There had been rumors that Tobey and Andrew were going to be in the movie, and this is while we're shooting. We were writing the script, working on where we wanted to reveal the guys, and it always seemed like Peter's going to be sad because Aunt May just died, and that the portals are going to open, and the 2 Spider-Men are going to help out. He had a vague idea of where the 3 Spider-Men would first join forces, probably a rooftop, kind of hazy, trying to figure it out. However, the filmmaker poked around online and discovered that fans had predicted the pivotal moment exactly as he first envisioned it. I was on Reddit looking at people who had already made fan art. This is probably where, like, what it's going to be like when these Spider-Man get revealed on a rooftop. It was sad. 2 Doctor Strange portals opening, 2 Spider-Man opening, and is stepping out. And he said, well, we can't do that. If that's exactly what everybody thinks we're going to do, we absolutely can't do that. And I'm going to tell you something. This is one instance I really appreciate a filmmaker looking at the fans, reading the fan pages, reading the forums, and then saying, you know what? Let's play around with this a little bit and let's do the opposite. Let's, you know what I mean? I appreciate that. You know, and not arguing, not getting on there and saying, oh, you're wrong. And it's not, you know what I mean? Like, this is an interesting thing. He went on Reddit, which a lot of people hate, and then said, you know what? Let's change it up a little bit and let's do this. And I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that. Yeah. I actually really do. I appreciate that. And the scene takes place when Ned and MJ are together. That's when you're Spider-Man, right? It's not with Toby, or not Toby, with Holland. Yeah. You know, it happens at Ned's grandma's house in Queens. So they completely changed that scene. And you know what? I appreciate that. I applaud that, of paying attention to fans and trying to subvert expectations in a good way.
In a good way.
Not in a bad way.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I didn't want to cover this too much, but I did want to share this with you guys. Pedro Pascal, Fantastic Four. This was Vanity Fair, and this is their social media. I'm not sure. I don't even know what to think about this. I think it's really goofy. It's basically titled "Everybody Wants a Piece of Pedro," and I don't know about you, Matthew, but I'm kind of Pedro'd out at this point. After Last of Us, Mandalorian, which he then had a fit because it wasn't showing his face on camera; he was just behind the helmet. Yeah, we get Fantastic Four, Wonder Woman 1984. I am really curious how he's going to come across as Reed Richards coming up.
This guy's ego is so big, it's not even funny. He keeps getting cast in everything, so he's like, I am the bomb. It's like, no. They're overexposing you. Do you not realize this? Do you not realize that if you were a decent actor, you get paid more for doing less? But no, you have to go out and seek out each and every paycheck to get your face rubbed by a whole bunch of different people. And it's weird. It's like
there's some really big hands there on his face. You know that, right? There's some big hands there.
I'm not even paying attention.
Well, it's hard not to. Those thumbs are thicker than my thumbs. All right, so look. I mean, seriously, like, come on, man. Some Vanity Fair photographer, videographer was like, what would be great if we get like 5 people and they just put their fingers in your mouth and they like stick it in your ears, and maybe somebody gives you a wet willy, and then a man just drags his giant man hands right across your nostrils and puts his pinky right on your mandibles. I don't even know. This in particular, for me, is like, I get it. I get what they're trying to do. Now, the reason I brought this up, and
he's definitely overexposed.
We're not going to spend a ton of time on it, but I didn't want to bring it up because he knows he's overexposed. He knows it, and the thing of it is, okay, to his friends and family, he is Pepelo, Peepee, Pedders, and Peds. Fans on the internet famously refer to him as Daddy or Zaddy.
Yeah.
he laughed off the nickname. Daddy is a state of mind. I'm your daddy.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So here's the cover.
Honestly, you just take the R out of there and you've got it perfect.
Oh, come on. Yeah. Like, come on. Like, seriously. Here's the cover. So, for me, this is counterproductive.
Yeah. It's like all of James Gunn's interviews. Counterproductive.
Okay.
Not working for you.
Counterproductive, because I really believe this will create backlash. And we see it every now and then. Hollywood latches onto somebody, and boy, they just promote the shit out of them. And we all know that Pedro is white adjacent, Hispanic in some ways. He's tabbed for different roles because of that. It's just the truth of the matter. But I do believe the overexposure will work against Fantastic Four. And a lot of the things he's said, and a lot of things he's done, and if you look at our thumbnail, folks, you'll see one of them, will turn people off.
Yeah.
To the point that they decide, you know what? I'll stream this instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He's doing himself a favor with all this stuff, and he's like promoting his brand or whatever. But it's the same thing it's the same spiral that James Gunn is in. Your ego has gotten bigger than you, and it's taken control, and it's actually taking you down a path that you didn't really want to go, because it's going to have a negative effect on everything that you do moving forward. And if they just let Corn Sweat go out there and talk about being Superman and being excited about being Superman, and being this actor and how he talks and all that stuff, the Superman movie would probably have a lot more hype around it. But everything's been about James Gunn and not about Corn Sweat. And the same thing here with Fantastic Four. You're promoting Pedro out the wazoo because he's in everything. He's on Vanity Fair. He's in every interview. He's in every product on every streaming service, on every studio's checklist, right? And then if you watch Fantastic Four and you expect to see Pedro Pascal being, the leader of the show, you're going to find out something very different took place in the filming of that movie, and he's like a tertiary character. He's not even a secondary character. Right? It's going to be pathetic, his involvement in the Fantastic Four movie.
I am curious. I am curious to see. I know. Okay, look, I think I know the ending of Fantastic Four, and I'm pretty sure it's spot on. It's safe to say Reed is a viewer.
Yes.
Rather than a participant. Does that make sense?
Yeah. He is not engaging in the plot at all. He's just there in the background. And G.I. Joe, and you're talking about Doomsday. That's a whole different movie. That's Robert Downey Jr.'s movie. Pedro may be in it for a minute, but the Fantastic Four are not the main purpose of Doomsday.
Now,
but
look, he may. I don't even know. I tell you, RDJ is the lead character in Doomsday.
Yes.
What I would love to see is them bring back Cap. We'll see.
No, because if they bring back Cap, it's Hydra Cap.
Yeah, but okay, never mind. Look, I'm not going to get into it right now. I know what you're saying, but I have kind of a counter to that. But since we're speaking about Superman, we're going to watch the Lex Luthor scene, about 37 seconds long. We're going to watch Superman react to Lex Luthor stealing crypto. But before that, the Snyder Bros are out in full force right now. Spread the trend, folks. We're all fighting for so long for the Snyderverse to be restored. We won't let James Gunn, Peter Safran, and the WB ruin our dream no more. It lasted too long now. We're the majority. Snyder fans, true DC fans. We're legion throughout the world. We got the power to make this happen. Okay, let's learn some English and proper. We control the movie business. We deserve it. We've earned it. On July 11th, boycott this outrageous insult to Superman, and to the DC brand with James Gunn's dumb, juvenile, and shitty film, his silly Diaper Man. Now more than ever, let's all show the WB and these morons that the fans are in command. Bring back the Trinity, Cavill as Superman, Affleck as the Batman, and Gadot as Wonder Woman. This sounds as deranged as it reads.
Yes. Yeah, it really is. And it's headed up by Ray Fisher. You know, you know that guy that you've never heard of before or again or since? Ray Fisher?
You talking about Cyborg?
Yeah.
What's the actor's name again?
Ray Fisher.
Oh, shit, that's right. I forgot it because I've never seen him in anything else.
Yeah, because once he called out Joss Whedon for being a meanie of a director because he wanted to get things done. He was a Jim Shooter. He was an asshole on screen because he made us work and be creative. Nobody else wanted to work with him after that. You got your director canceled? Okay, we're not hiring you for anything because and he went so hard on the Snyderverse stuff, and God bless him. The Snyderverse is a better option than what they had at the time. I don't think James Gunn is the solution, but the Snyder cut was far better than the Whedon cut. And I love Joss Whedon
for sure.
And if Joss Whedon had made the whole thing moving forward from the beginning, it would have been totally different, and we would have loved it because nobody can write Joss Whedon speak like Joss Whedon. Nobody. And now that he's canceled for being a meanie,
sure. I'm with you. For me though, look, I appreciate the passion.
Yeah,
I do. I appreciate the passion, but holy moly, like it reads so bad.
What's frustrating is on several of their points, they're not wrong.
Well, look, I'm not. There are points in there, and I understand. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I was not a huge fan of the Snyderverse.
No,
I didn't
so
think it
problems.
worked very well at all.
Yeah, so many problems.
And so, I'm curious to see what we're gonna get. But what we're gonna get maybe looks a little bit, folks, like this.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be.
Lex, I tried to stop him.
It's fine, Heather. Superman, we finally meet. Would you like a coffee?
Where's the dog?
Okay, people have a problem with this.
Yep.
I want to say I get both sides. Okay? Superman should be composed. However, at the same time, people let their emotions get the better of them. And if you've ever owned a dog before, if somebody kidnapped your dog.
Dog?
The dog, loser! You took the dog!
That's right.
I'd say you probably feel like this.
Yep.
Where do you get all of this?
Listen. A human feels like this. Someone who has this amount of power and has suppressed it because he knows that he would destroy all of humanity and crush every living being in front of him if he loses his temper, learns how to control his temper because it's a measure of control and integrity to know what you're doing. This kind of exposure is not Superman.
Okay. This could be a teaching moment. This could be he's 3 years into wearing the costume.
No. He got his powers for the first moment he was on this planet.
Okay, no.
And when he was a teenager, he started getting these power boosts, so to speak, and had to learn how to control it. And he went to the Fortress of Solitude and learned how to do that at the Fortress of Solitude with the interactions of his father and mother or whatever, however that story goes.
Right.
So by the time he comes to Metropolis and is known and has been revealed to the world, he has already learned how to control this. So this can't be a teachable moment because that teachable moment happened 20 years ago.
Do we not have teachable moments all throughout our lives, Matthew?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, we do, right? We do. and we're not always able to control every one of them. I will agree with you. I understand what you're saying. However, our lives are full of teachable moments, and we don't always react the way that we say we should, even if we are several years into a career or a lifestyle or whatever. So, if someone kidnapped your dog and destroyed your fortress of solitude in the process, how would you feel about that?
Listen, I'm not an alien. I'm not a Kryptonian. I'm not.
No, that's not what I heard.
I'm not spending my entire life with a measure of control not to destroy all of humanity. So my experience is not going to be his. He is not supposed to be relatable in that aspect because he's an alien. He is not a human
But he says
being.
in this film that he's just as human, right? Even in the trailer, he says not
then,
quote unquote.
Okay. Then, if that is true, I sided with Lex Luthor on everything.
Here, let's finish the clip.
Lex Luthor is correct, and Superman should be destroyed.
Until Lex speaks under his breath and says, "Stupid little dog with a cape on."
Where's the dog?
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Okay, no clue what you're talking about. Now, of course, this is being filmed. It's probably being live streamed by his little hussy over here on the couch.
Yep.
Okay. Now look, he composes himself. He says it's just a dog. It's just a dog, right? Like he doesn't mean any harm. Why would you come and do this?
Dog. I don't know what dog you're talking about. Ugly dog in a cape.
Ugly dog in a cape. Now, the one problem I have with this, Superman has super hearing. He would have heard what he said, but he actually says, what did you say? That's where that's the biggest problem I have with this clip, in my opinion. He couldn't hear what he said under his breath.
No, it's not that he didn't hear it. No.
He heard it, but he didn't hear him clearly.
No. Okay. That's not true.
Okay.
No, listen, this is another tactic. Okay, this is an anger tactic. This is a fighting
trick
tactic.
Shot. What's up, buddy?
Okay,
so wait, what? This is a fighting tactic?
So listen to me. This is something that people do all the time, especially when they want to justify their position in front of everybody around them. So he didn't say what because he didn't hear him. He didn't say what because he didn't understand him. Okay. He said what because he wants him to repeat it for everyone to hear.
But that's not good. He said it as he's taking a sip of coffee. Why would he turn around and repeat something like that when he literally just said out loud, "I don't know what you're talking about"?
Listen.
Why would then Lex go, "Oh, you mean the dog a kidnap?" Like that doesn't make any sense.
No, you're right. But he said what because he wants him to say it out loud in front of everyone so he can justify punching his fucking head off. Right? Because he's lost his temper and he's taken his dog or whatever. Okay. So he wants to justify his actions. This is what people do when they're drunk in bars and they want to start bar fights. They want to make sure that they are the good guys in the fight. And so they want to justify it. It's not that they didn't hear it. It's not that they didn't understand what was happening. It was they want everyone else to understand what is happening.
I get that. I understand that point. I read this differently. I read this differently. I just do.
Yeah.
I see it as like, you can either take it for face value from the words that are spoken, or yes, we could infer our own headcanon into it or whatever. We don't know how this plays out. So we don't know exactly how this all kind of plays out yet, right?
What we can agree on, though, is that both points of view are not Superman.
Well,
because he would have heard it, or he wouldn't have said that other statement to get him to restate it to start the fight.
For that, I'll give you that. Right? I'll give you that. I think that is my version of Superman supposed to be super composed? Of course he is. I mean, everything you've ever been shown for the most part, except when he gets drunk as shit and then fights himself somehow in a junkyard. But that's a whole nother story. But
hey, man, I kind of like that movie still. It's all right.
I like that one fine. It's just a real weird scene for a kid to see when you're really young and you're like, what's happening? And then he's
Why
like flicking
Superman
the fucking
drunk?
peanuts into the liquor bottles and you're like, God damn, Soups, you fucked up. Hey, how could Superman even get drunk in the first place?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. It was all
so yes, but I'm with you. Look, again, two different points of view on it. Either way, I love it because we can look at it with different sets of eyes, and take something different from it. However, at the premiere, I gotta show you guys. At the premiere,
yes,
something terrible happened.
Yep.
And you're about to see it. A cat just took a shit on the red carpet.
Yeah, look. Okay, it was a cat. It knows there's a dog in this movie.
Did I just see what I saw?
The cat knows there's a dog in this movie, and it's like, fuck you.
What in the world? I'm sorry, but this was too good not to show. I couldn't help myself. I saw this earlier. Just one more time.
Oh,
that's just gorgeous. That's just beautiful. What the hell is happening when a cat somehow ends up on the red carpet? And
hey, all you G.I. Joe fans, wow, kitty gonna scratch.
Okay. All right. Let me bring up. So we're gonna watch a couple trailers before we get out of here. I am gonna give my Ironheart review, but before we do that, I did want to show something that you sent to me earlier today. Now, if you sent these images to me, Matthew, individually in a way, I'd be able to bring them up individually, but because they're not, I can only share them like this.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But fair. These are the San Diego Comic-Con 2025 exclusive reveals. So why don't you give everybody an idea of what we're looking at here before we jump into these two trailers and then Ironheart and we get out of here.
So just real quick, this is a Jada Toys Street Fighter alternate version of M. Bison, and it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. There's going to be 3 exclusives apparently, and we've seen some of the effects for some of them, but he's got a whole bunch of different hands, different heads, and then he's got 2 different heads for the original M. Bison. So the laughing head, and there's probably another one that we haven't seen yet, will be in that pack for the original M. Bison. But this one will have the effect, because if you see in this picture that Pop's got there, the second one down there, it has the green M. Bison from there in that effect, which is the effect from the game, and then the other one is a separate piece. It's a whole different figure that pops on there, so that's a whole other effect.
Awesome.
that is the blue flamed figure effect. So you've got these 2 things going on there at that same time, and so you've got some new hands and some new heads that are going to be for both versions. And I think Jada is doing awesome with these San Diego Comic-Con exclusives, because their exclusives provide alternate heads for current figures that you already have, and the new figure, and then the new hands that you can use on either one. So they're making this incredible universe, and they want you to buy all the different versions so that they get to reuse these molds, because each one of the figures is pretty much a new mold except for Ken and Ryu, right? And so they're doing their darndest to make you want everything that they come out with, and Jada has just been killing it. That M. Bison figure is so awesome.
Looks good.
It's one of my favorites in red, in blue. I don't care for the colors of the green, but you know what? The heads and the effects are pretty awesome.
They still look good. Look, it's I tell people all the time, it's not my bag as far as collecting different lines. Yeah. But I do recognize when stuff looks really great, and these look fantastic. And I can fully understand why people would be invested into these figures. It makes sense. 3, who's the third? I'm trying to figure out who the thing.
What
Who's the
conversation was
third?
that?
That's what I'm trying to figure out because I want to make sure that I didn't pass over that.
If you're talking
that
about the
comment.
M Bisons, there's three M Bisons: the red one, the blue one, and now the green one.
Okay.
So the blue one was the second one that was released, and then this is the third version of M Bison that they've released. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, or something else.
And I was wondering because I was like, okay, was that maybe the M Bisons, right? But I want to make sure. So yes, Stanley,
not,
if you're in there, clarify for us so
yeah.
we can answer that. I don't want to leave it unspoken. But yeah, those look really cool. You sent those to me, and so I wanted to show them off because I know it's something that you really dig.
I don't even see the crowns on there anymore, so I don't know. I don't see that on my screen.
I have a terrible Instagram friend. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I have my notifications turned off because I just don't want my battery to die. I'm not. I mean, it's terrible. I know, and then I forget to check it. It's the same thing on freaking Facebook in a way, and then I forget, and then So I apologize, but Ronnie Trickshot is correct in his statement. Yes,
yeah.
that is correct.
So Stanley, I'm not sure what all of them are. The only thing that they've showed so far is the blue and red flaming bodies. So they've already done an exclusive Fei Long with all his stuff and Chun-Li. So I would assume that the other one will be Blanca. And I don't know what the third one is, but they announced in their email that there were 3 SDCC exclusives this year. They posted some images before. I'm pretty sure it's Blanca and Bison. I don't know who the third is.
Okay. All right. So, at GIA, man, I appreciate it, buddy. It's just, I'm not gonna lie. I do tell people I am a horrible Instagram friend. I really am. I don't use it often. I only use it really to promote the live streams.
Yep.
And because I just don't take a lot of personal pictures and stuff like that. So,
GI Jetman asked us a question that segues right into another potential topic. Do we have that one ready?
I have I've got Hail Mary pulled up, and I can have
do you just have that Variety article real quick?
I had it.
Whichever one I sent you. I don't know if it was Variety. I forget which one it was. Deadline, maybe something like that.
Hang on. Right here. I will bring it up right now because, hey, why
Deadline.
not?
Yep.
There we go. David Dasmalchian lands the role of M. Bison in legendary Street Fighter movie.
Since you asked, G.I. Jetman, here you go. There is a Street Fighter 2 movie in production, or Street Fighter movie in production, and it looks like they just attached David Dasmalchian to play
Great actor. Great actor.
Incredible actor.
I'm A-okay with this casting.
Yeah. I want M. Bison to be big and imposing, but they can always do that with the stuff they put on him.
Hunter, that's exactly what you'll do. That's exactly what you'll do. Yes.
I mean, I really like this guy in almost every role he's played. I've been really fascinated by his presence.
Yes, agreed. He really has, and it's like he continues and even produced his own film too, right? Like like directed or brought his own film. I was trying to remember, it was Late Night with the Devil, which got a lot of praise. Got a lot of praise. No matter what you think of it, it did get a lot of praise. Now he definitely has a passion for making movies, and I appreciate that, and it shows in his work. And so I'm all about him getting roles because I want to see what he can do, because I think he is a versatile actor, and he actually is a good actor. So I want to see what he does. Yep. No, I agree. And I'm glad that you reminded me, because I did have it, but it wasn't highlighted because I hadn't clicked on it yet on here.
Yeah.
So it was the last thing that you and I corresponded with, but I'm glad it got brought up, and I'm glad we got a chance to share it. But yeah, this is as of today at 9 a.m., at least as this report on Deadline. But like the casting, I would like to see a Street Fighter movie. And
I would hope it would be better than the Chun-Li movie or the Van Damme movie, because
of course,
as much nostalgia as I have for the Van Damme movie, it was pretty terrible.
Yes.
But it is, quite frankly, the only reason that I bought this figure.
Right.
Because
Can't argue with that.
Because Van Damme was in the blue in that movie.
Yeah. No, I get it. Graph's in the house says, what's up, what's up, what's up? Who's playing Cammy? Don't know yet. We'll find out. And as we get the casting news, we'll probably bring it to you as we go along week to week. Man, oh man, in 10 days, Superman. I can't wait to give a review. I can't wait to talk about it. I really can't. Man, like it's coming. I want to see it. I want it to be good.
I want it to be so good. I need a Superman movie to be good. I need that hope. I need that inspiration.
Right.
I want to see it on film again.
I really do.
And F1 is kind of heading that direction. And, you've got Top Gun Maverick, and you've got a couple other things that have come along. And I really need a Superman movie to be good.
Yep. I agree. So let's take a look at Project Hail Mary.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and we'll watch it on YouTube. I'm going to back it up a little bit here. I'm going to share this tab instead.
So if you don't know, this Project Hail Mary is written by the writer who wrote The Martian. The screenplay was done by Drew Goddard. There's a lot of talented people involved with this, and so I saw the trailer. My wife just showed it to me tonight, and I'm like, holy cow. I want to see this.
Very interesting. Yeah. And so let's take a look. And of course we'll, do what we can. I mean, if somebody copyright claims this stream, obviously they're not making any money, because we're not making any money. And for some reason in Belarus, Russia, it will be blocked. Nowhere else but Belarus, Russia. So you know what? I'm okay with that too. Let's go.
State your name.
Ryland Grace. I just woke up from a coma. I'm several light years from my apartment, and I'm not an astronaut.
I love that. I mean, so do you know how the book The Martian opened up?
No, I don't.
So it was slightly different than the movie. But basically, I think the first lines were, I'd have to go back and look at it again, but basically the first lines were, well, I'm fucked. And that's
I love those lines. Those speak to me.
That's pretty much the first lines of the book. That's pretty much what this guy just said. I woke up, I'm millions of light years away from my apartment, and I'm not an astronaut.
Right.
So he's stuck in space. It's like, what the hell just happened to this guy? This is a great setup. The trailer has set this thing up wonderfully.
Yeah. So we'll dig in a little bit more.
I'm not an astronaut. I'm not an astronaut.
If you don't go, you die.
So we get a little bit of a little right? I mean, that's what a trailer's supposed to do. Give us a little post, like start us out, what's happening. Let's go back. Let's see what what's going on.
Now I got to know
right.
I got to watch this movie. Why is he going to die if he doesn't go?
Right. So we're going to find out a little bit of the plot here.
With the rest of us. The sun is dying. You're the only scientist who might know what this is.
Okay, so we get a classic plot. Right? A classic plot of someone who is the only person who could possibly save humanity. As much of a trope as it is, we all still go to see those movies.
Yeah.
We do. Because we appreciate the savior part. And also, I think most of us love space. We love dinosaurs, and we love shit like that, right? Like we love these concepts that are so out there. And so that's what makes these types of movies successful in my opinion. So let's see.
I'm just a teacher at Grover Cleveland Middle.
You have a doctorate in molecular biology. I need you to come with us. This is Project Hail Mary. The sun is not the only star dying.
Okay.
So there's a puzzle here. It's bigger than that. And Dreadnought, it was cool the first time it was called Interstellar. This doesn't seem anything like Interstellar to me.
No.
Not at all. Interstellar
No.
was interdimensional, whatever, crazy future dystopian stuff. This seems a little bit different.
Now I will say
like
this:
modern humanity is trying to solve a problem.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I understand. I guess some of those comparisons, like that does make sense, right? I totally get that. However, I also think in this sense, I think there's I don't think this film is going to be as a not existential, but like as a dimensional, as more of just a fun kind of goofy romp a little bit, right?
Yeah.
A little more comedy involved, I think, in this one, if I'm reading it correctly.
Well, yeah.
Not a comedy, but moments that speak of
so
that.
If you read The Martian or watched the director's cut or even saw the regular movie, there is a lot of humor in there. And yeah, Dreadnought, I know you were kind of joking. I don't take anything of that seriously, but at the same time, there's a biting bit of truth in there, right? So there
absolutely.
Are some
there's similarities, right? Yes.
To it, but I do think this is going to be pretty different, and I think it'll be pretty engaging.
And I hate to keep pausing it, folks, but like that's, these movie companies really don't like you actually watching and talking about what they do.
Except for Disney.
Every star was
except for Disney.
Its neighbor, except one.
Why?
We don't know.
Which is why we build a ship.
Yeah,
Go there and find out.
It's 11.9 light years away. The astronauts die in space.
11.9
What you Americans would call a
light years
lump
away.
shot.
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary.
Who on earth is going to sign up for this?
You. They force you.
If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct.
I mean,
Find a solution.
You are my solution.
I put the knot in astronaut. I've never done anything. I've never done a space. I can't even moonwalk.
Good line.
Yeah.
Can't even moonwalk. I mean,
it's great. And it goes back down to I'm waiting for that pop culture reference that they're going to make, because Mark Watney had to do the Iron Man to save his own life by puncturing a hole in his suit so he could fly by jets coming out of his hands, air jets, right? So he was doing an Iron Man, right? So they brought in pop culture there. I can't wait to find out what that's going to be in this one.
I think it does look fun. It does. And so let's see here. I mean, really though, there is some cool stuff in this trailer. They do somewhat. I'm gonna turn that down. They do somewhat ruin some things, but like he does come across something here, and you get to see a little bit of what this may very well be somewhat about.
Yeah.
Not that it's Contact or not that it's like, something similar or Interstellar. However, and you'll see here in just a second that he does come across something.
So you've got Lord Miller involved with this. You've got Drew Goddard involved with this. So you've got some great people that are involved with creating this film. They bring in the Spider-Verse in here, whatever, But you've got Lord Miller, you've got Drew Goddard, and I cannot think of his name, the actor,
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, and you've got this interesting formula, and he can kind of do it all. Yeah, Dreadnought, I kind of agree. I think Gosling has a better range than he's been given credit for in a lot of cases. So, I mean, this looks pretty interesting, but the end tag, I was like, oh man, I almost wish they didn't put that in there.
I agree. Let's get to it. Again, I just trying to keep the
I got to get that
songs out of it, right? You know what I mean? Like,
talk
just
about over that.
Just getting the song out. But this is cool though, right? Like,
there it is.
Boom.
Boom.
So he encounters what obviously would be alien craft of some kind.
Now, if you are a sci-fi aficionado, that image that Pop just paused on there, what does that look like to you? If you know, you know. Do you know what kind of spaceship that looks like?
For me, let's see. Let me back up. Right here,
right there. Yeah, right there.
It reminds me of a. Probably gonna get it wrong. I almost have like a a Klingon
No, not
warship.
Klingon.
I don't know.
No, not so much. It looks like a Cylon mothership.
Okay. I knew I'd get it eventually.
From the original Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, Menjoza, you got it. You got it.
Yep. I get it now. You just have to explain it to me because I'm dumb. No. Let's see here. But cool little scene. We get to see him reaching out, and then obviously we get
there's something there.
So again, like.
So I met an alien. He's kind of growing on me. At least not growing in me, which was a concern for a little while.
Okay, I want to play that again. I want to play that again really quickly.
That's
kind of growing on me. At least not growing in me.
Hang on.
Alien. He's kind of growing on me. At least not growing in me, which was a concern for a little while.
That's great. I'm sorry. That's great.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Look, it looks fun.
Yeah.
I like movies like this, like Interstellar, like 2001, like whatever.
Yeah.
And 2001, obviously completely different tone, but you understand where I'm coming from, right? Like The Martian. I enjoyed The Martian.
So since the writer of the original Martian book is involved with this, and then you've got Drew Goddard adapting the script, and then you've got Lord and Miller starting to direct it. Lord and Miller have this wonderful comedic timing that Kathleen Kennedy didn't appreciate.
Oh, absolutely.
So she fired them and put Ron Howard on there to be a corporate director to fix the movie Solo, which lost money. And you build up this whole thing.
I was going to reference it.
You've got Lord Miller's timing. You've got Drew Goddard's adaptation. You've got The Martian's original writing. You've got Gosling in there killing it as best he can. And I think you've got something really special here. This is something I am super excited about.
Yeah, I do want to see it.
Lord Miller, man, right there. That panel right there sets this movie higher than almost anything else this summer. I want to see Tron, the next Tron movie, but this one has me more excited than all of the others at this point.
I am too, after I've seen it, and that's what trailers are supposed to do. And folks, we know the trailers that haven't done it for us.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's
this
for sure.
one, I'm digging this. So
yeah.
So
what sucks?
Please state your name.
What sucks is it's
I love it, man. I think it's great.
It sucks is that it's not till March or next year.
I know. You're right, and it does suck. But I'm hoping next year's box office is going to be so much stronger than this year's.
Hey, you know what was interesting?
Wait.
You know what was interesting?
What's that?
The year of the strike, Hollywood writers and Hollywood in general made more money than they did last year.
Really?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Say it ain't so.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Because after the writer's strike, things went so to shit. They've still just lost money.
Oh, I don't know. They're making 40% less projects and hiring 45% less writers.
Yeah.
All right. So look, let's do this trailer. I'm gonna give you my iron.
Hold on, just real quick.
Okay.
G.I. Jet, man. Was it supposed to be a trilogy? I don't know. They had a whole other set of expectations for this whole thing. They wanted to use the actor for sure. They wanted to do more with the property, and there was a trilogy, actually two. There's a Corellian trilogy and a Han Solo trilogy that they did novel-wise that they could have done something interesting with, but they screwed up that movie so bad because Lord Miller had made something, and then Kathleen Kennedy fired them and brought in Ron Howard to fix it, so to speak, and make it a corporate amalgamation of whatever, because Kathleen Kennedy doesn't understand humor. And Lord Miller made a humorous movie, and maybe that's not what they wanted. So they went in a different direction after that. So that movie was destroyed because they had two different directors, and they spent over $500 million to make that movie. No matter what anybody says, they spent over $500 million to make that movie. So there's no possible way it could be a success because they would need to make $1.5 billion to make a profit off of it.
Well, and again, she's fired more directors than she's hired.
Yep.
So that tells you a lot of what you should know about a lot of the projects. You know, people that had their own vision and, you know, her and whomever at Disney were like, well, yeah, no, you know, that's even though you're an auteur.
Yeah.
No, this is what we need. We need a cookie cutter.
And they hired the wrong person to play him. They should have hired the guy who played him in that time travel movie, who played Harrison Ford's younger self in that time travel movie, because he was a YouTube personality who made his YouTube career by imitating Harrison Ford because he looks like Harrison Ford, a young Harrison Ford, and then he could do the voice as well. And if they had hired him to play Han Solo, this would be a different world today. But they hired that guy, and yes, that guy's in Ironheart, and segue, Pop saw it.
I did. So I'll give you a choice, Matthew. Do you want me to give you my thoughts on Ironheart, or do you want to watch the Running Man trailer and finish up on Ironheart? Take your pick.
Let's.
You want to watch Running Man really quickly? Yeah, it's a long trailer.
Let's do that. We just watched the trailer.
Yeah, let's just check it out. So here's the new Running Man. I don't know if you guys know about this. I'm sure you've heard about it. Maybe, you know, closer to the story. I don't know, right? I'm a fan of the old movie from the 80s. Compared to that, I don't know if I like this premise more than I like the other one. So we'll take a look. Let's take a look.
Okay. And here we go. All right.
So you have a guy, he has a child, needs, you know, medical attention, in this futuristic version is unable to work because he's been blackballed and not a good worker for whatever reasons. That is part of the plot. And so he's unable to secure normal employment. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what? Oh, wait a minute. When was this filmed, Matthew? Is this 2022 all over again? Hang on a minute. Anyway. Brother, I don't like this change. Richard Dawson is irreplaceable.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, but come on, look. Okay. It just did the gravitas Pop. Is not there. It's hold on. Resonating with me.
I have a question for you, Pop.
Yes.
Were you meaning to show this trailer on the stream?
Oh, shit. I thought I did. Thank God anybody's watching. And I'm glad you did it. So many planes to land, so many buttons to push. All right, here we go. All right.
Stop
one more time.
Me!
There we go. All right, so gotta turn it down a little bit.
Yeah.
35, married, one child, in medical crisis.
We need money for a doctor now.
Ben.
This is the reason why I said the comment about when was this filmed, because, you know, okay, fine, I don't care, but like
whatever. Yeah,
whatever.
That doesn't.
Employment status blacklisted, but there's still a way out for you. It's the biggest.
This is the thing, like talking about Richard Dawson, that I don't know.
Yeah.
Someone has to really truly live up to that performance, even though I'm not saying it's an amazing performance. It's just Richard Dawson was such a character and an American treasure almost in a lot of people's eyes, in a way. And as a game show host.
Yeah.
Who is this? Who is this guy?
Bloodlust is our birthright. Set it free.
Wait. Hang on a second.
He was a British actor.
Hang on a second. I've got to. Do you know who this person is right here? Is this the same chick that we saw in oh God.
Oh God, you devil? No, I don't think so.
No. No. I've seen this person in a lot of stuff coming up for Disney recently.
Yeah, maybe so.
I think I know who this is. They're getting a lot of play lately. I'm almost positive I think I know who this is. I could be wrong, but anyway, okay, whatever.
Welcome to the Running Man.
People on these games never come back.
I'm not trying to get myself killed.
So, to explain some of this trailer without having to go through the whole thing, what I get from the trailer, a lot of it is that you
Is why you can win this.
you have some of the same elements as far as, hey, you'd be great for this show. You are really a POS. This is your chance for your family to break out of debt. You can be, live the rest of your life in comfort and all that stuff. And so I get it, but it really doesn't have the same premise as the original film where you had these particular entities that were hunting you down. Now, I'm not saying that they don't bring these type of people in, but the premise behind this is that the entire world is hunting you. And I find that a little far-fetched.
Simple. Survive 30 days. The entire nation hunting you down.
The entire nation hunting you down for 30 days. Do you think there's any way in the world someone would be able to survive for 30 days with an entire nation of the United States hunting them down? Whereas the original film, you were put into like this whole scenario and you had these particular people. And if you could survive that, right, then technically you were supposed to get out of it and whatever. The entire nation hunting you down? I don't know, man.
Yeah, that premise is a little thin because, I mean,
it's super thin.
As many people as would want to help you, or people that would defy the system or whatever, there's more people that are going to want the paycheck or want the drama and be 100%. The one that kills you. So you'd be dead like that.
I mean, there's no way. So, while I understand what they're trying to do here, and from what I understand, this is more similar to, now we see these are some of the characters that are coming to hunt him. But what I appreciated about the original, they were so outlandish and so different. Each one of them had their own shtick and their own kind of thing. You had the motorcycle rider, right? You know, this, like these two guys in the middle, I mean, it's a bellhop and a military guy, but in my eyes, they look exactly the same. And the guy on the left also has stripes on his shoulder, and he very well looks the same to me. And then you have the masked man who, and you'll see in the trailer, is able to kick grenades back at our buddy.
This comes down to Edgar Wright.
Okay.
Right? So William H. Macy, right? You've got Edgar Wright, Michael Cena, Josh Brolin, Glenn Powell, Lee Pace, William H. Macy. You've got a ton of people in this movie. So, I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I'm curious to see it. I think the premise of everybody hunting you down is a little crazy.
It just stretches it a bit for my taste. It doesn't mean it won't be entertaining.
Yeah.
Just from a premise perspective, I'm like, the whole nation hunting you. Do you realize how long a month is?
Right.
And if they have technology to detect body heat or like GPS or like, you see where I'm going with this, right? Now, look, remember folks, back in the days when you could use phones as a plot device in a movie because someone cut the phone lines to your house and then all of a sudden they were inside your house. or they cut the power, or you were trying to find a payphone and you're pushing the thing on the payphone. And you're like, oh, I can't get struggling with your change. And like, now that everybody has cell phones, that is something that is now removed from movies, unless it's a period piece, right? Unless it's so again, in the future, how in the world, from a communication standpoint, 3-star draw says going to bed. Good night, y'all. I'll talk to you tomorrow, I'm sure. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's I guess if they do it well, then maybe they will. We have a plane sequence here. I mean, I think it's going to be one scene after another of him somehow miraculously escaping out of these incredible circumstances, right? I mean, ultimately, that's what it's going to be. This scene right here, running down the hallway, it's like people shooting at him. Boom, 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 boom.
Hold on a second. Look at this scene. Just watch the scene for a second.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, it's let it go. Let it go.
I'm going to. I'm trying to get my set. I don't understand what my settings are. It's on auto. I'm like, why are my settings? My bit rate should be premium right now on an Ethernet connection. I don't understand.
Everyone since the beginning of it has tried to copy the Daredevil season 1 hallway scene with the one shot take. The Raid tried to copy it and everything else, and so they're trying to copy it here, and it's a different take on it, but I think it's interesting. I don't know.
And then look, here's this scene.
Look, we need generic action movie.
Okay, that I'm in agreement.
Yeah. So we've got F1, we've got this coming out. I think these two movies have that potential to revitalize the movie-going population, because these kind of movies are what people go to movies to see.
Well, you used to go to see.
Yeah.
But over time, people have been conditioned that like this type of movie
just wait for streaming. Wait for streaming,
and it's toxic. This is toxic masculinity at its finest.
Well, I don't know that that's what they're conditioned to. I think they're conditioned to watch it streaming.
I mean, I just it depends on how it's framed. I'm sure Kotaku will write an article about how this movie promotes some kind of istophobism or something.
And you know what I care about Otaku.
Right.
Hey, look, there's a Destro weapon. Check it out.
Yeah, it is. That's a water laser pump action rifle, folks. That's what it is. It's going to be included. It's also going to be included on the Snowcat.
It's the new HasLab project.
Yes, it is.
Just like the Aliens Nerf gun.
Right. Look, November 7th this year, I appreciate the fact that at least, this is coming out this year. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I remember hearing about it. And after that, it's completely been off my radar until right now.
Right.
So what does that instill confidence in you that you've heard nothing about this film at all?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, hey. So it's interesting. I'm not saying it's a summer blockbuster. It's being released in November. It's being released before 2.5 weeks before Thanksgiving, folks. What does that tell you? What they feel about this film?
Yeah. So that's the dead zone for releasing movies. So
that's all I'm saying. I want it to be good. I hope it is good. And Dreadnought, you're right. We have 75-inch TVs at home now. And because of that, it's much easier to not go to the theater. Graf says, still Hollywood. The movie will open with a crawl reading. 20 years ago, an orange man broke civilization and took mankind to the brink. You may be right, Graf. You may be right. That's all I'm going to say. And I love that comment. I really do. So that comment brings me to Ironheart. And we'll finish up with this. Matthew, have you had a chance to watch Ironheart?
I have not.
And why would you? Why would you want to?
Well, so I went to an amazing convention and spent all day, every day at that convention. And then I worked 12 hours the day after the end of the convention. So no, I haven't had time to watch it.
Okay, so let's just break it all down right here. This is one of the most racist projects I have seen Disney produce. And some of you out there may be thinking, well, how is that possible? Because this show perpetrates every negative stereotype about the LGBTQ community, about the black community, about the trans community. I'm not sure because there's people in it, twins supposedly that are, you don't know. This is the hero of this show is a thief who only cares about her needs.
The only conflict that she has is when she realizes I might be held accountable for my actions.
She has been given a Tony Stark grant to attend MIT. She's had 3 years since the Wakanda, the last film where she somehow came up with the cornrowed suit that she made in that film. 3 years at MIT. She's done nothing but blow shit up. She has been selling her patents to other students so they can pass their classes. But supposedly she's the smartest woman on the planet, and yet she blames everyone else but herself for her failures. If she was the smartest woman on the planet, she wouldn't be selling patents to students to make a little bit of pocket change. She would be working for any major company right now, truth be told. So this film, this show has been on the shelf for 3 years. It was written at a time where it was popular to basically tell people you don't have to be held accountable for your actions. Everything is owed to you. And if you're a minority, you're especially owed something, and you can blame your problems on anyone else but yourself. Yeah. She steals a suit that does not belong to her. Just because you got grants and funding to build a suit doesn't mean that it's your suit. It still belongs to MIT, and yet you choose to steal it. For some reason, the security guards decide to tell a fellow student not to let her steal something, even though the security guards should be the ones trying to prevent her from stealing it, but they're telling someone else, don't let her take anything. It's like, yeah, but you're paid. Her family and folks, a lot of this is just in the first episode. Okay. It goes on and on. Her family somehow paid a janitor to keep a watch on her. So as soon as she steals the suit and flies back home to Chicago, her family knows she got kicked out of MIT, even though it literally just happened, because one of them paid a janitor to keep a watch over her. I'm sorry, but at MIT, I don't think janitors are in the same classrooms, let alone depending on what shift they work. And I had to say, it'd be very difficult for a janitor to figure out who someone is and keep tabs on them because they're a janitor at MIT. What information would you divulge? What files could you get? Who could you talk to find out this person? It's nonsensical, but it is extremely racist. In the reason it is because, again, it perpetuates the worst stereotypes about the very people they're trying to tell you they're not perpetuating these stereotypes about. And it doesn't take a genius, and it doesn't take someone with a low IQ to watch this show and suss out these are the worst types of people. The criminal organization that she just decides to join, and then also kills, by the way, folks. This is our hero of the show. She kills people.
That's right.
She murders people
Mercs.
in this show.
Mercs them.
Her goal, after she gets let go from MIT, is to figure out how to get hired by a company so large that she can steal their shit and not get caught.
Yeah.
These are quote unquotes, okay?
Yeah.
She joins a criminal organization even though she says, well, I don't want to hurt anybody, but then literally murders people minutes later. The editing in this show is abhorrent. You can tell there's missing scenes throughout. The dialogue was obviously written by someone that's probably 49 years old, white woman who thinks this is what black people talk like. It's just obvious. There is nothing redeeming about any of these characters in this show. And if you think I'm being harsh, okay, if you watch this show and you honestly believe this is a good, wholesome-hearted show that portrays underserved and underprivileged people in a really good light, you need to take some classes. Like, you need to watch some shit that actually, like, this is a horrible show. Horrible dialogue. Horrible writing. Horrible editing. And it teaches people the worst lessons. Yep. And this is not a character to be looked up to by little black girls. This is not a character to be looked up to as a hero and propped up as someone who's special. No, this is a character who, by all accounts, doesn't take account for their actions, murders people, wants things given to them, and in the show literally says, like, it's not her fault, but she wants to be undeniable and iconic. She wants to build something iconic. And, by the way, she doesn't, by her words, have the billions Tony Stark had to build his suit. But he built this shit in a cave, honey.
With nothing.
In a fucking cave.
No resources.
You've had a grant to MIT. You've had Wakandan tech. You could have... The Wakandans took your suit from you in the last Wakanda movie, right? They took it from you. And then you get a full ride to MIT. And then you say, well, I don't have billions. Well, you've had all the tech and the billions at MIT to work with. They've even changed the course studies to suit your needs. That is said in the show. This show fucking sucks, and it's bullshit. And if anybody tries to tell me they think it's great, I'm sorry, you're really wrong. This show is fucking terrible.
How can you?
It perpetuates the worst stereotypes. Period.
Yep. How can you be iconic if everything you're doing is stolen from somebody else?
You don't take accountability for your actions. You want to steal your tech. You murder people.
Yeah.
You join a criminal organization and you say, well, I don't want to hurt anybody. And you literally turn around and hurt people.
Yep.
So don't give me this like, oh, but it's lighthearted and it's fun. No, this does way more damage.
Yeah.
Than good. Yeah. For this character who wasn't successful in the comics, who nobody bought the comics, nobody gives a shit about. They sat on the show for 3 years.
Yeah.
And they had to release it, contractually bound. And then they get Robert Downey Jr. to come out and make these stupid, fake phone calls to the girl who portrays Riri Williams. It's Ironheart Day, 18 years to the day when Iron Man came out. Are you so excited? It's the most fake bullshit, and you can see right through it. I'm sorry my opinions are harsh, folks. That's what I do. This show is garbage. It's fucking hot garbage.
And you know what?
And it's embarrassing.
So nobody cares.
No, nobody's watching. And yet Disney will purport this as in it's the #1 show on Disney Plus on a Thursday at 9 p.m. this week. It is garbage. Yeah. And unfortunately, excuse me, like I said, it perpetuates the worst type of stereotypes about people that you could do, and yet they try to tell you these are positives.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, the narrative they try to spin. Anyway, That's my take on Ironheart. Watch at your own peril. Okay, seriously, watch at your own peril. You'll probably cut it off after about 2.5 episodes, maybe 3 if you're lucky.
Yeah,
sorry,
I mean,
just being honest.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing the damage of watching it.
It's
I mean, I had no desire to watch it because I knew what it was going to be, and you are just confirming all of it. And there's just no reason to watch this show. And since nobody's watching it, nobody's going to care anyway. It's just further proof that this is all nonsense. This was completed 3 years ago.
Right.
And they didn't release it. And they tried re-editing it, redoing everything on it, and they still can't make it work. But they've invested so much money, like, we have to release it. I'm like, you'd be better off not releasing it.
And you know, the Hood character, who's like an F-list character in the comics, if even that, you know, it's they race swap him. They do. Yeah. Of course they do.
So you make it even more racist by making the Hood a minority character, and then you give him magical powers, and then Riri has to take these magical powers and incorporate it into what she's doing. So Black Girl Magic again, and then she's got to do her thing with magic and technology, and so she's the new Doctor Strange, but she's better than Iron Man because she uses magic now. And
I mean, it just and Gemma says, I will take some classes. Look, hey, I'm hyperbolic. That's what I do. Okay, but nonetheless, yes, in a cave with Stark tech, but no, actually, he made it mainly from scrap parts.
Yeah,
and from Stark tech, but it's not from like an MIT building where you literally have everything at your disposal, right? Like, you're literally, you know, it is what it is. Look, and yes, she does blame everybody but herself. Secret Invasion, was it better? I think it's on even keel. I think they're both even. I think they're brutal. I think
Secret
there's so
Invasion
many,
was not good.
The biggest problem with Secret Invasion is that Rhodey, all of his interactions, he's a Skrull.
Yeah.
His saying that he knows what it's like to be a black man, having to try to take up the shield to right, like, he's a Skrull.
He's a Skrull.
So how does a Skrull know what it's like to be a black man taking up the mantle of Captain America in America? Like, that's, I mean, dude, we could go through the gamut with these things, right?
Yeah.
And Menjoza, yes, heroes do take responsibility. Villains blame others. And it really truly is. Like, I'm sorry. It is. But look, that's my take. That's my opinion. Yours may be different. And that's why we all watch the shows. So, you know, I know I'll come strong sometimes, but it's when I feel strongly, I'm definitely going to come strong. And this is just embarrassing. I think it's just embarrassing. And look, some of the actresses and actors in this show are good actors. They have done good work. When you're given shit, you produce shit. And I feel like they're given shit, and that's what happened. So
look, I have rarely blamed the actor for a bad show, because I know what Charlie Cox can do. I know what Vincent D'Onofrio can do.
Right. Yes. Hello.
Right. I know what Rosario Dawson can do. Right. Rosario Dawson has done amazing work out there. You know, and there are idiots out there that are doing that or attacking people on social media. I don't think that's actually really happening. I think that's another social construct that the studios are putting out there. Right. But at the same time, you don't blame the actor. You got to blame the people behind the scenes. I've grown up and I know who the producers, writers, and cinematographers were on most of all of my favorite films from the time that I was little, right? I paid attention to that stuff. So I paid attention to the people behind the scenes because I want to know who created this, not just who presented it, who acted in it. I want to know who created it. And that makes a huge difference. And like I said, that's why that Hail Mary thing interests me more than anything else, because the people behind it who created it. And I know what an actor Ryan Gosling can be, right? And so you throw those things together, and it's not like a person that you know has a a bad body of work, no matter who they work with. There's a couple people like that who just can't act, can't be directed, and then I don't care to watch those people's stuff, not because the product wasn't written well, but they couldn't act well, but all of the above.
Yeah, no, look, a lot of times, yes, there are actors we will zero in on, but that's through their own speech and their own actions and their own social media. Todd C, hey, missed the show, all good. By all means, go back, check it out if you like. Obviously would love for that. And I'm sure Toy Kind of Mood probably streaming there for a while, whatever. It's not doesn't have anything to do with what we do.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe some folks,
What's up, Carlos?
there we go. There you go. So,
hung out with him that last weekend too.
Oh, that's awesome too, dude. I do love that. That's for sure. That's my favorite part of it all. I don't, the toys, the show floor, everything, but like the people, that's my favorite part about
we
going
went to lunch at
stuff.
Whataburger, and he asked
Sweet.
me before that. He was like,
hell yeah,
should I change my name? And I'm like, man, it's everybody knows you as Rachel Salinas. but I had a bunch of other people say, hey, you should change the name. And he's like, I don't know.
Whatever.
It's whatever you want to do, bro.
Hey, Todd, I get it, man. Joe's before bros, man. It is all good, my friend. And I fully understand it by all means. But yeah. So look, that's my take on that. G.I. Jetman, yeah. Ironmonger, his son. I like that little thing, but like they totally messed that all up too. And so yeah, it is what it is. So look, it is about that time. We've been on for almost 3 hours. We normally don't go 3 hours. So I got to get you to bed, Matthew. It's time to tuck you in for the evening.
Pumpkin time.
That's right. Get you ready for Betty Bye time. So got a long work day tomorrow. I got a long work night tomorrow myself. So, but look, hey, everybody, hit the like button on the way out. Always appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out with us and listening to us just kind of cover everything. We did do a little Snowcat coverage earlier. We actually took a little while to do it. So yeah, go back, check it out, man. Pretty good stream. Had a good time. And obviously we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Check out Mammy's Action Figure blog on Instagram, as if you guys don't already know. And then I will be back on, what is it today? Tuesday? Sunday night. I'll be back on Sunday night. Sunday. Bill Goodman's Gun and Knife Show. Tell a buddy, bring a friend. Did you ever hear that jingle?
I don't remember that one.
Just in the Southeast, my friend. So, yeah, man, I'll be back Sunday night with an unfiltered and
G.I.
Jet
Spicy. Reacher is well worth it. The first and third season are phenomenal. The second season had its ups and downs, but I think you'll still like it. The books are good. The first one and the third one actually follow the books a little bit more closely. But they just like the characters and they move through that. It's a really good show. The Reacher show, you should definitely watch that.
I am yeah, I agree. And Glenn Powell auditioned for nearly Friday Night Lights role. He could over Fire Your Run. Friday Night Lights was a great show. A lot of people love it. And look, he's a good actor, man. I'm glad that he's kind of coming into his own, getting his own, really being featured. And it's been a long time coming. So yeah, I appreciate it. But yeah, man, look, so that's all we got, folks. Y'all have a great night, and we will see you guys in 7 days. So that's it. Matthew, love you, baby. Let's do it again.